Good afternoon, fellow decoys. If the sound sucks, tell me and I'll fix it. We made a few adjustments. I'm hoping it makes it a little louder. I don't know if it does or not. If it's all compressed on the top end and sounds terrible, please let me know. Guys, welcome in. welcome in. Yeah, red was the color of the day. Guys, we've got a lot to talk about. The Fed sloppers are in full effect, and they have no idea what they're talking about. They absolutely have no idea what they're talking about. So I had to take to a matinee show to get it out because sounds low. I can't make it any louder. I'm trying my best here, guys. Trying my best. Daisy will tell you I've got some new stuff coming in the next couple of days. Hopefully it'll improve. In the meantime, just crank it up as loud as you can, and we will try to get there and be as high quality of a sound as we can get. I have no idea what's changed, but we're trying our best. Okay. We had to get out in front of all this Fed slop. Because we keep reading, and I'm going to go through some of these today. Oh, my gosh, did you see the filing? First, we have to address the obvious. This was the state's filing. This was not a defense filing. I've seen more than one person on X saying, the defense admitted they knew everything. Look, it says it right here. The defense said nothing. The defense said absolutely nothing. That is not a defense document. That is the state of Utah's document. Keep in mind, the state of Utah's position is he did it, and they want to put him to death. Like they're bloodthirsty. You can feel the blood coming out of their mouth and down their cheeks while they're writing it. As you read it, you can kind of get that sensation, that warm, glowy, liquidy sensation coming down the sides of their cheeks. Now, so we will go through it and explain why it is not at all saying what they suggest. I have tried time and time again to articulate this to the Fed sloppers. They refuse to listen. It leaves me with but one obvious conclusion. They're not after the truth. The Fed sloppers are not after the truth. They're after a result for some reason, and we'll talk about why. We're going to go back in time a little bit today. We're going to talk about the filing, and then we're going to go back in time a little bit, and we're going to look at what was happening globally in the months leading up to Charlie Kirk passing away. We're going to look at what was going on in Charlie Kirk's life as early as May, and then some other things that were going on in June, July, and August before Charlie Kirk finally passed away in September, to put a little global context in it. You know, we learned during the Great Debate the phrase positive evidence. Yeah, positive evidence. Do you have positive evidence? I have positive evidence. I have positive evidence. I got positive evidence right here. I got loads. I sit around on positive evidence. Do you have positive evidence? Well, sometimes you just got to look around and add stuff up, right? If I have a 1 here and a 1 here, I've got 2 things. Do you have positive evidence as to? Well, I mean, look, I've got 1 here and 1 here. I can put things together. I can add things up. So we will go through this. We're even going to, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you a sneak peek. I'll do it now. I can't wait any longer. This I've got to show you now. TPUSA has turned into a geriatric convention. I don't know any other way to say it. This great, proud college organization that Charlie left behind, I think the average age in this picture is like 61. This was a TPUSA event featuring a very strangely dressed CEO who looks like she's wearing a man's belt, high-waisted, wide-leg jeans, dirty tennis shoes, a silk shirt, for some reason buttoned all the way to the top button, and a hat. But start looking around at the age of these people. There are a few younger people, and by younger, I mean like maybe 30, 35. But some of these people, I mean, no offense to this gal on the right, I'm sure she's lovely. But, I mean, she could be in her 70s, ladies and gentlemen. This guy on the left, he could be in his mid to late 60s. Look at the guy just over Erika Kirk's right shoulder, camera left. That guy could be in his 60s. The guy over his shoulder could be mid-60s. I mean, this is, when you start looking at each one of these people, this is no longer, we keep being told, you're trying to destroy Coleman, Candace. You're trying to destroy the largest youth conservative movement in American history. It looks destroyed. That doesn't look very youthful. No offense, but I don't even think the Fountain of Youth could restore some of those people. It's just not, it's not a youth movement anymore. It's just not. It is basically the Fox News crew, the Boomer crew, the 55 plus hanging out in Phoenix with Erika. I have no idea why. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because young people don't like her. They see Drewski. They like Drewski. All right, so I don't want to dwell on that. I just noticed it. But I do want to start rolling through some of the show today. We got to look really quickly at the state's filing because there is a sentence or a paragraph that was included specifically for the Fed sloppers. This was not an accident, ladies and gentlemen. They knew that this would make a good screen cap on X. They knew it would make good fodder for semi-low IQ people all over. Where do I want to be? There I want to be. They knew it would make good fodder for semi-low IQ people. So this is the filing. Notice it is the reply memorandum in support of preliminary hearing bindover. In support of bindover. That's how you know it's the states. That, and they say they're the ones that filed it. But they're supporting a bindover. Bindover just meaning we believe we've met the very minimal burden to send this thing to trial. Your humble host told you before the preliminary hearing even started, it was going to trial. This is all showboating. This is fun and games. This is trying to get in a few public digs. There's no way this thing doesn't go to trial. But here is what it says. This is what they put this paragraph in right here on the first page in order to have this screen capped and put all over X. Defendant does not challenge the substance of the evidence demonstrating that he was the person who crawled on the sniper's perch on the Losi building rooftop, fired that fatal shot that killed Mr. Charlie Kirk, hid the rifle in a wooden area, got rid of some of the clothing he was wearing, and told his roommate to delete their texts about the shooting. They knew it would look just like this on X. They're going to highlight it in blue, and then they're going to screen cap it. Then they're going to put it on X, and they're going to say, I hope Candace is feeling okay today. Oh, man, she's cooked. Ladies and gentlemen, there's nobody cooked here. There's no cooking being done. Nobody's cooked. Nobody's cooked. This is a reality of a preliminary stage. I remind you of what I have reminded you about time and time and time again. At the preliminary stage, there's really no reason to challenge very much. It's not something that needs to be done. It's not something that has to be done. Here's what I mean by that. You know this is going to trial. You know the only thing the state has to show is anything that tends to show that he was on the roof. Meaning, we have a single person who says, oh, that looks like him on camera. That's enough. That's enough. That puts him on the roof. Any evidence you tend to produce that shows that's not him on the roof is irrelevant. The judge is not allowed to weigh conflicting evidence. Now, they've said there was a gunshot. The medical examiner said he died by gunshot. Okay, that's enough. If you show evidence that there was some other mechanism at work, a gunshot from a different location, maybe a lower caliber round, exploding microphone, some sort of necklace action, some sort of unknown, no matter what you tend to show, it's wholly irrelevant. It's wholly irrelevant. It doesn't matter because the judge has in his possession evidence that would show it was a gunshot, a 30-06 round. That's enough. That's all they need. They don't need anything else. You don't need anything else. And so if you go and you show, let's say you had a really credible expert witness or you had a really credible piece of evidence that showed it was an exploding microphone. The judge looks at it and says, yeah, but they said it was a gunshot. And here's evidence that it's a gunshot. I'm not allowed to weigh evidence. And so I cannot consider this. I legally cannot consider this. Someone's saying it froze up. Okay, some people are saying it hadn't. I don't know what to do with it. I'm going to keep going as if it's not frozen. But the judge is not allowed to consider this other evidence. He's not allowed to weigh conflict and come to a conclusion about which one he believes. He must resolve all inferences in favor of the state. And so it is absolute lunacy to say, well, the state didn't challenge that he was shot with a gun. Well, of course they did. I mean, the defense didn't challenge he was shot with a gun. Of course they didn't. Why would they? The state said he was shot with a gun, and they gave a piece of evidence that said he was shot with a gun. Anything else is irrelevant. The judge is not allowed to consider it. Well, the defense didn't challenge that it was him on the roof. Of course not. The state gave evidence from which it could be reasonably inferred it was Tyler Robinson on the roof. They have somebody who identified Tyler Robinson, as lousy as that identification was, in the stairwell, and then they said that it was the same guy who went up on the roof. They had a cop that said that. And then they said he ran over to the shooter's perch and fired a shot. There's your evidence. Any conflict in that evidence, any conflict whatsoever in that evidence is wholly irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You cannot resolve it in favor of the defendant. You have to resolve it in favor of the state. And so when you put a statement like this on paper, there's only one reason they would put this in their filing. And it's so that low IQ people on X will run out there and say exactly what we've been hearing all day today. Well, they didn't even challenge it. They didn't even challenge it. They didn't challenge it. They've conceded it. They've admitted it. Now, keep in mind, they did not challenge is not the same as they admitted. Those are two different concepts. I know that's, look, this is a high IQ outfit. I just assume people know the difference, but I'll explain it. I'll explain it. They are two different concepts. If I don't challenge that I was in Texas last night, that does not mean I'm admitting I was in Texas. If I don't challenge that I weigh 300 pounds, that doesn't mean I admit I weigh 300 pounds. If I don't challenge I had pizza for lunch, that doesn't mean I had pizza for lunch. All those things are false, but I didn't challenge any of them. So because he didn't challenge it, you have really low IQ people running around on social media saying that he must have admitted it because he didn't challenge it. Otherwise, why wouldn't he have challenged it? And I just explained it. The challenge would have been worthless. It wouldn't have mattered. The judge would not be permitted by law to consider that challenge at all. And so why bother showing your hand? It shouldn't, it might be difficult to understand. I don't think it should be difficult to understand. Someone said I ate 300 pounds of pizza in Texas last night. Thank you. You sound like a Fed slopper. You have the logical understanding of a Fed slopper. That you are now caught up with people like Gary and Viva. You're on the same par now as these people. You and Blake Sneff have similar IQs now. But that is the reason they didn't challenge it. It doesn't matter if they challenge it. The judge isn't permitted to consider it anyway, so what difference does it make? Hid the rifle in a wooded area. They said they had him on camera running to the wooden area with a rifle. Now, you could look at that and say, I don't see a rifle. Do you see a rifle, Judge? And the judge says, I don't really see a rifle. But the cop said he's carrying a rifle, so therefore the judge has to infer that he's carrying a rifle. That's the law in Utah. And I cannot overstate this enough, which is why I've repeated it 30 times. You cannot overstate it enough that this is such a fundamentally dishonest way to try to taint the public against Tyler Robinson. This is, in my opinion, this is an abuse of the legal process. Now, the state, I think, may have correctly identified an abuse of the legal process from the defense. We'll talk about that in a minute. And shame on the defense if they're right. If the state's right, shame on the defense. I'm not a Utah lawyer. I have not researched Utah law on preliminary hearings and inferences versus speculation. But if the prosecution's right later, we'll show you in just a few minutes, then shame on the defense. They made a massive error, a massive mistake. I don't think they should be sanctioned or anything, but they should be humiliated, and I hope they are. If the state is right. So now we go to sentence 2. Now that we've kind of gone over that, rather, he merely asserts the repeatedly rejected claim that the overwhelming evidence establishing some of these facts could not be introduced as reliable hearsay at the preliminary hearing. Why might the defense keep saying that over and over when the law in Utah is that reliable hearsay is permitted in Utah courts for preliminary hearings? Because if you don't raise the issue at the stage and have the judge rule against you, you cannot raise it on appeal. If you're going to appeal something, you have to raise it at the trial court level. It's a nuance in law a lot of people may not understand, but it's a fact. If you're going to walk into an appellate court and you're going to say they shouldn't even have been using this reliable hearsay, they're going to look at the record and say, where did you object to this evidence as reliable hearsay? Well, we didn't because we know the law in Utah. Okay, well, then you lose. Then you lose. So while it might have been a little annoying that the defense put so much effort into the reliable hearsay argument, it was setting it up for appeal. Defendant therefore raises no valid challenge to the evidence supporting count 1 as at least murder. I agree with that. They did not raise a valid challenge to the evidence supporting count 1 as at least murder. I agree with the state's contention there. Does that mean they admit he murdered Charlie Kirk? That's the distinction that people are missing. No. And when they do bind it over for trial and he pleads not guilty, there's your evidence. He is not saying, I agree I did these things. He's just not raising a challenge to those things. It's a fundamental difference. It's subtle, it's nuanced, but it's important. And anyone running with this, suggesting that Tyler Robinson's lawyers have admitted to anything, are either very low IQ or they're lying to you. Those are the only two options. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury. I agree with that as well. 3 or 4, obstruction of justice. I kind of agree with that as well. They did not raise a valid challenge to the obstruction of justice claim. They raised an inference that they inferred something differently, and I'll explain when we get down to that point why I think it's not a valid challenge. And count 5, tampering with a witness. So I agree with that. They did challenge the aggravating circumstance for count 1, that he knowingly caused a great risk to the death of another. But this is where they say it's based on this misrepresentation of the evidentiary standard. That is a damning line. As soon as I read that, I thought, somebody screwed up. If you allege in a brief that a lawyer misrepresented the law in front of a judge, them's fighting words. Like that's not calling you a bad lawyer. That's calling you a dishonest lawyer. Misrepresentation is fighting words. When you accuse someone of misrepresenting something, you're saying they knew better and they lied to the judge. They intended to deceive the court. Those are fighting words. Whether they did or not, I don't know. We'll examine that in a second. I think they should have known better, frankly, after reading this. Defendant erroneously asserts magistrate. We don't need to go through that. Here we go. Contrary to defendant's argument, these cases establish that when a fact finder chooses between reasonable inferences at trial, it is properly fulfilling its fact-finding role, not speculating. Thus, even at trial, a fact finder is free to choose between reasonable inferences. In other words, that's where you're going to argue different theories. You're going to say, yes. If you buy these facts, here's how we want you to interpret these facts. Here's what we want you to believe about them. But this is a preliminary hearing. The court is not sitting as a fact finder. The court is duty-bound to draw all reasonable inferences in the state's favor. There's nothing speculative about viewing all reasonable inferences in the state's favor. Do you now get an understanding of why the defense would not go out there and put on a full-throated defense and raise all kind of alternative theories? And the fact that they didn't means that they accept Tyler Robinson did it, and they reject Candace Owens, and they reject the independent investigators, and they have no theories. They're just going to run in there and say, yeah, he shot him, but man, he didn't mean to. No, that's not going to be their defense. I promise you that. That is not going to be their defense. If this gets to trial, that is not going to be their defense. So let's roll through some of these. This is the misrepresentation. This is probably the most, where I spent the most time when I was reviewing this, because these are the fighting words. This is the section that as a lawyer, I cringed. There's an evidentiary standard in Utah. That governs the preliminary hearing. And the evidentiary standard basically says, hey, let me go back into the past. In the past, they actually did draw a distinction between inferences and speculation. And they said, you're not allowed to speculate, but you can draw inferences. The Utah Supreme Court, believe it or not, has changed that. And they changed it over a decade ago. State versus Ashcraft. The Supreme Court explained that when a jury chooses between inferences to reach its verdict, it does not engage in speculation. That means at an evidentiary hearing or a preliminary hearing, where the magistrate must draw all reasonable inferences in the state's favor, that becomes even a larger truism. So you have a case from the Utah Supreme Court that says, hey, when we get to the trial, when the defense actually puts on their case, and a jury comes down to choosing between reasonable inferences, that's not speculation. They're looking things and they say, okay, I don't know that that's him on the roof. We don't have evidence that's him on the roof, but we do have somebody identifying him in the stairwell, and therefore we're going to infer that it's the same guy on the roof. We didn't see it. We don't know, but we're going to infer that, and that inference can support reasonable doubt. I mean, can support something above reasonable doubt. We can infer the state met its burden to prove that's him on the roof, even though we didn't see a camera footage of him going on the roof, even though there's no eyewitness saying they saw him continuously and he never left their eyesight. That's an inference. That's not speculation. That's not speculation. But that's not what the defense said. And this is the important part. The defense basically ignored that part. They looked past it. And they erroneously labeled as speculation a lot of the state's argument about the reasonable inferences the court would necessarily have to draw from the evidence in order to support a bindover. And I just think if the judge agrees with this argument, this is going to be problematic for the defense. I think this is going to be one where the defense is going to lose a little credibility with the judge and, frankly, with the public, particularly the lawyers following this, who are looking at it closely and saying, you guys shouldn't have done that. Now, they did it on a couple of different points. One of them is the clear line of sight that existed between the sniper perch and the Kirk seat. And then they go through and they talk about the different people's heads and where they were located and where the security personnel was and where people in the crowd were located and were they in danger, essentially. And the defense said, that's just speculation. You're just speculating. And they're saying, no. They're not. The Supreme Court has said that's not speculation. That's inference. That's inference. And they're allowed to infer. So I think this is one that that I think will be interesting to see how the judge handles this. But it's kind of boring to read through the whole thing. But if you do want to read through it and you want to understand it better, just understand that's what they're talking about. Did he cause a great risk of death to another when he fired a high-powered rifle toward a crowd of thousands? I mean, the question is that a reasonable inference? Like, would you want to be in that crowd of thousands if somebody was firing a high-powered rifle towards that crowd? I wouldn't. Particularly a 22-year-old kid who's not a trained sniper, who's not a trained rifleman, who's just maybe gone to the range a few times. I don't want to be downrange of that guy. And so I think it's reasonable to infer that he put a grave risk of death to other people. I think that's how the judge is going to rule on that. But the problem is the state is saying they also misrepresented the standard there as well by saying that it was speculation when it's actually reasonable inference. So, again, if you want to read through it, you're more than welcome to. They did not really get into anything else. This is where the bulk of the brief rested. And it makes sense because if you recall, when we looked at the defendant's response brief, the bulk of the response brief was spent on the aggravating factors. So it makes sense to me that the state spends the bulk of their reply brief on the aggravating factors. And if they're going to put the bulk of the reply brief on the aggravating factors, it's a little weird to me why they spent the entire introductory paragraph saying that he didn't challenge their facts on anything else. I think that was done for social media, and I'm not sure that's a proper use of a brief, but whatever. But that's it. And you'll notice here, none of this brief goes into confirmation that Tyler did it or confirmation that the defense agrees Tyler did it. That was just a throwaway line at the beginning. It was put on the front so that people would have the style of the case and that paragraph, and they could highlight the blue and post it to X. That's why it was put there. Did he obstruct justice by directing his roommate not to talk to police? The state's argument here is essentially, you could draw the inference that he was just advising him of that Robinson was just advising Twiggs of his constitutional rights. That's probably a reasonable inference. The problem is you're not allowed to draw reasonable inferences in favor of Tyler Robinson. That's the point. That's the whole point of the preliminary hearing. All inferences must be drawn in favor of the state. So if he tells them, don't talk to police, exercise your right to remain silent, demand a warrant, you can draw, an inference is available to be drawn that does, in fact, support an obstruction charge. And if you could draw that inference, if that is a reasonable inference that's available, then the court has no choice but to rule in favor of the state on that reasonable inference. This is what I mean. So there's probably a more reasonable inference, frankly, that he's just advising him of his constitutional right to remain silent. That's probably a better inference when he says, don't talk to the police, you have a right to remain silent and demand they get a warrant. That's probably a more reasonable inference. But you're not allowed to draw any inferences in favor of the defendant if there's a reasonable inference available in favor of the state. So if something like that to me is that clear, cut, and dry, goes in favor of the state, imagine if they went up there and said, that's not Tyler Robinson in those cameras. There's a reasonable inference that that's not Tyler Robinson. It doesn't look like Tyler Robinson. It took Lance Twiggs too long to identify him. He saw all 6 photos and couldn't identify him. Therefore, we think that you could draw an inference that maybe he was coached, maybe he was nudged, maybe he just knew what the prosecution wanted him to say, and he had an immunity deal riding on identifying him. And he remembered that in the middle of it. Like, that's an inference you could draw. I think that's a reasonable inference. But that reasonable inference is impermissible for the court to consider. So why raise it? Why raise it? Why raise it at all? There's a reasonable inference that it was, in fact, Tyler Robinson. You have a roommate of Tyler Robinson who said, yeah, I think that's him. Therefore, it's a reasonable inference that it's him. Therefore, the judge has no choice but to believe that reasonable inference, to find in favor of that reasonable inference. Okay. I don't want to keep saying reasonable inference 1,000 times, but I want people to understand. I want people to understand that this is the issue in this preliminary hearing. The fact that the defense did not raise potential objections is not a waiver of those defenses. The fact that the defense did not challenge the identification is not a waiver of identification. It's not an admission of identification. The fact that the defense did not reject or not raise an alternative to a gunshot is not confession or admission of a gunshot. The fact that the defense did not raise that it was someone else on the roof is not a rejection of the fact that they could raise that issue at trial. And anyone saying to the contrary that those things are true is lying to you, or they're stupid. Those are your options. Low IQ or lying. Those are your only options. There's no good faith basis on which people can conclude that. None. I sat here and thought, I always try to nullify my own position. Is there any way somebody could, in good faith, make that argument? I came to the conclusion they could not. Not if they follow this case at any level. Not if they followed this case at any level. Just like it's incumbent on the defense to know the law on inferences versus speculation, and just like it's, frankly, probably okay for the prosecution to call them out when they get the law wrong, I think there's a duty on people following this case and commenting on it publicly on podcasts and on X and on other social media, Instagram, TikTok. I think there's a duty on them to understand each stage of the investigation, each stage of the prosecution. I think there's a duty on them to understand what is a preliminary hearing. There's a duty on them to understand that at the preliminary hearing, there are certain standards that must be met and certain requirements that are on the judge. And that because of that, the defense is unlikely to take certain actions. And if they don't do that, they're abandoning their right to comment on this case in good faith. So when we look at some of these people who have commented on this case in what I think is bad faith, people like Paramount Impractical, Paramount Not So Tactical. This looks really bad for the podsloppers and grifters who have been lying to you for 11 months. They conned people out of clicks, views, and money with false narratives. They are frauds. Come thank me when you realize it. Next time, rely on facts and evidence and expect more from those you get your information from. And again, this is exactly what I told you would happen. They would highlight that in blue. They would make sure the style is on there so you know what case it came from. And they would try to use this as a statement of admission from the defense that these things are true. This, to me, from both Jane, what's her name? Jane Doe, who I don't think I've ever heard of, and Bad Faith Gary, this is bad faith. This is a bad faith effort to mislead the public. I think this is a bad faith effort to mislead the public. Also, not to be outdone with bad faith efforts to mislead the public, we have the inimitable, bald man who may or may not have been driving a car after midnight in Utah with 3 passengers. I don't know if he was or not. The guy doesn't know where he is ever. But this is Blake Sneff. Utah prosecutors have responded to Tyler Robinson's defense filing ahead of the final preliminary hearing and confirms, Blake, I thought you were the smartest guy we ever met. Prosecutors is plural. Confirms is singular. We have subject-verb disagreement here. Have confirmed. Prosecutors have confirmed. Not have confirms. But that's okay. That just gives you an idea of the fact that they try to tell us Blake Sneff is smart, but he's not. He's not. I'll do you a solid, Sneffer. I'm going to fix that for you. Utah prosecutors have responded to Tyler Robinson's defense filing ahead of the preliminary hearing and confirmed what observers pointed out about that filing. Also, this is what we call a comma splice, Blake. Thank you. You can come here for grammar lessons whenever you want. I'll get you a copy of Little Browns if you'd like it. It'll teach you how to use commas. No need for the comma there, Sneffy. No need for the comma. This is a dependent clause. We don't need a comma here. But that's okay, Sneffy. I thought you were the smartest. You went to Dartmouth, Sneffy. And confirmed what observers pointed out about the filing. The defense is very conspicuously not contesting any of the core evidence showing Tyler Robinson committed the murder. They don't contest the camera footage, the DNA, the rifle, the cause of death, or Tyler's phone data. This is the type of dishonesty I'm talking about. This is the type of dishonesty I'm talking about. This is not a reasonable inference that the defense agrees with the prosecution statement. And anyone who tries to make the case that it is either low IQ, which his grammar might indicate he's low IQ, or he's a lying, dishonest dirtbag, which all context clues tell us he is also a lying, dishonest dirtbag. And so we have both of those options available with Sneffy. It's possible it's both. He might be a lying, dishonest dirtbag, but also low IQ. I mean, those are not mutually exclusive categories. All they have is a complaint about reliable hearsay, which won't apply at the full trial anyway, and then attacks on the aggravating factors. That's correct, Sneffy, because they have to raise the issue of reliable hearsay in order to preserve it for appeal. You should know that. You're supposed to be smart. We also know it won't apply at the full trial anyway because hearsay generally is disregarded at trial. There are exceptions to the general exclusion of hearsay, but more generally, hearsay is excluded at trial. There are some statements that are excluded as hearsay, even though they technically should qualify as hearsay, and there are some exclusions to the hearsay rule, or exceptions to the hearsay rule. So yeah, they have to raise the issue about reliable hearsay in order to preserve it for appeal. And they have to attack the aggravating factors because that's the death penalty. That's the death penalty. Now this is the dishonest, this is the biggest, boldest lie of it all. If there was any merit at all to any of the theories that Candace et al. Have pushed in the last month, why didn't the defense bring them up? Sneffy, I can explain it to you. I cannot understand it for you. We have explained it time and time again on this program. Many other people have explained it on many other programs. This is pretty standard legal doctrine. If you're not a lawyer and you want to play one on TV, you need to get a little educated. If you're not a lawyer and you want to play around on X and act like you know what you're talking about, do some cursory reading. Listen to somebody Andrea Burkhart, who's not on my side in this case, I thought did a fairly good job after the last brief from the defense in explaining why it is that the defense may not have raised some of these issues. You guys have hosted her on your stupid podcast nobody watches. You should have asked her about it, followed up with her about it. She probably could have explained everything I explained to you. Or you could have called me. My phone, I mean, you could call me anytime you want, Sneffy. I'll talk to you. I talked to one of these pod sloppers the other day, these Fed sloppers, not pod sloppers, Fed sloppers the other day. I got a text from a third party. And he said, hey, I don't like all you guys arguing with each other. I'm friends with both of you. Can I put you two in touch with each other? I'm not going to say who it was. It's nobody I've mentioned today. And I was like, I don't care. I'll talk to anybody, on the phone, off the record. I don't, I want to be honest and I want to be open and I don't want it used against me and I won't reveal any of the content of what we discussed. But I'll be happy to talk to him. And so we did. We texted back and forth a few times and then there was a phone call. Only lasted about 10 or 15 minutes. It was so enlightening. It was so enlightening. People are very different on the phone call than they are on X and that they are on podcasts. Very different. Not at all as aggressive. Not at all as dismissive and demeaning. But very much victims. Like they think an argument that Tyler Robinson might not have done this is somehow an assault on them as an individual. And I'm using them as a singular pronoun because I don't want to reveal if it was a man or a woman. But it's unbelievable how people are tying their identity to this. Their identity. You know what? If Tyler Robinson did it, I'm the same guy. I'm the same guy tomorrow I am today. If they come out at trial and they've got just ultra 4K HD footage and it's Tyler Robinson and it is undeniable, and you could see the shot fire and they've got that, they had that camera right in front of Charlie and they can slow it down in slow motion and you can actually see the wound open up before the shirt goes crazy. And I will get on here tomorrow and be like, whoa, why haven't they just told us all this? Why did they make us drag this out for 12 months? Why were they acting so shady and so dishonest? Why were they attacking people instead of talking to people? My identity's not tied up in this. But I got the feeling on that phone call that if the reverse were true, if we get to trial and it becomes obvious that it was not Tyler Robinson, then that person is somehow going to be, the one I talked to, is somehow going to be, take it as a personal failure, a personal attack. And I don't see news coverage that way. I don't want to tie my identity to any particular position because I always reserve my right to alter my position based on new evidence. For example, I used to be very in favor of the death penalty. I don't want to argue or litigate the death penalty. Some of you still are in favor of it. Some of you are against it. I don't care. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just telling you my personal journey. I was very much in favor of the death penalty. Then I just started researching it, and I thought, man, they've gotten this wrong a lot. A lot. Like people after they've been killed have been proven innocent. And I thought, ugh, this may not be the road we want to go down as a society. Maybe we just stop at killing people. Right? Maybe, we can keep them safe. It's not like they're going to flee. We can lock them down and make sure they don't escape. We can make sure they don't kill other inmates. Don't kill the guards. Like we can keep them pretty boxed in. It's not like we think they're going to go out and kill 30 other people if we don't put them to death right away. Now, there was a time when jails used to be, just wooden stakes in the ground and somebody would have their posse roll in and bust them out of jail and they'd ride off into the sunset and go kill 20 other people in some southwestern outlaw gold mining town. I understand your argument that we know he did it and we need to get this guy out of here quickly. By out of here, I mean out of Earth, because he might do this again. He's a threat. This guy's a threat and we need to end his life. I don't feel like we're still there as a society. That's not where I feel like we are as a society. So I because of the mistakes, because of the fact we can keep people safe, and then I started getting into sort of the moral weight of it in my mind, the moral weight of taking people's religious decisions away from them early, sort of the bloodlust of it. I just, in my opinion, I sort of switched, and I became vehemently anti-death penalty. I'm the same person. I didn't tie my identity up to either position. My identity is not tied up to pro-death penalty or anti-death penalty. I just changed in light of new evidence. I saw new evidence, and I said, I don't know that I believe the way I used to believe anymore. Well, that's the same way I approach every criminal case. I look at, people are talking about that Lindsay Clancy trial. Everybody's running about it. Everybody's talking. For some reason, all the people who are just anxious to put Tyler Robinson to death as quickly as possible also want to put Lindsay Clancy to death as quickly as possible. Guys, the trial's not over. I don't think, unless it ended like in the last couple of hours. Trial's not over. You don't have to comment on it. Nobody's putting a gun to your head and saying, give me your opinion right now. You're allowed to sit back and say, well, I wasn't there. Let's see what the evidence shows. I might have a personal opinion that she did it, but I'm not going to get angry over it. I'm not going to tie my identity up in it, but a lot of people are. A lot of people are. They're going all in on this Lindsay Clancy thing. It has become a political issue. It should never be a political issue. A woman is charged with killing 3 people, her children, and trying to kill herself. That's not a political issue. We don't have to make it one. Every issue that comes up in the news doesn't have to be looked at through red and blue lenses. You're allowed to sit back and say, well, what does all the evidence show? Well, there's a jury sworn in and they're hearing all the evidence? Okay. They're listening to the judge's instructions? Oh, I got it. I mean, maybe there's somebody out there, some commentator who's watched every second of this trial, every judge instruction, every jury question on the jury questionnaire, and they're sitting there and they find themselves to be impartial. Keep in mind, to be on a jury, you're supposed to be concluded to be impartial. A lot of you people may have been excluded from jury service anyway because you are not impartial. But then to go out and start commenting publicly, demanding the death of someone, condemning someone to death in your mind with your words, when you've not seen all the evidence, I just think it's nonsensical. It's nonsensical. You should not feel like every criminal case requires you to comment and take a firm position that's rooted more in your politics than in the evidence that the judge is weighing or that the jury's weighing. It's just that shouldn't be that way. You see it very prominently in the Tyler Robinson case. My guess is if you think Tyler Robinson did this and you want him put to death and you think Candace Owens is evil for commenting on the case or asking questions or collecting evidence or releasing videos, and I got bad news for you, you Fed sloppers. Those videos are not in your favor. And you better hope there's no more. Because it's not going to get any better for you if there are. Because, just wait. Just wait. If she has 2, I can't believe that's all she has. I don't know. I'm not suggesting I know. I'm not telling you that she's sitting on hundreds of hours of footage. That's not my point. My point is the 2 she's released have been really deadly for the Fed sloppers. The one she released yesterday with Terrell Farnsworth looking shady as hell after getting the SD card and looking all around as he slips it in his pocket. Guys, that's bad news bears. The fact that they showed us a video of lower quality than Bigfoot in court of some blob moving across the screen, and then they sort of narrated what they said was happening. And then she releases an actually higher quality version that doesn't at all line up with what they said. That was bad. That was bad for the Fed slop side. And if she has more, like I have a lot of questions that day. I have a lot of questions about things that happened that day that were outside of camera view. Terrell Farnsworth shoving the SD card in his pocket was outside of camera view. I'm not aware of anybody having previously gotten a photograph or a video of that. She had that. If she has other stuff outside of camera view, guys, you might just want to hedge your bets and sit back and wait Because if these guys look any shady, if that was not the shadiest thing she has, if there's even shadier behavior on camera, that is not going to go well for the Tyler Robinson did it alone narrative. That's not going to go well at all. It's not going to look like Terrell Farnsworth was somehow a neutral party there. A neutral party there. All right. Let me roll into I want to roll into this video because it's setting up. I've played a clip of this before. I want to play a little more of it today. This is sort of setting up what was happening in Charlie's life, what was happening behind the scenes politically when Charlie Kirk died on September 10th. And I think it's important. I think it's important to put everything in context. We are allowed to speculate. We are not in court. We're allowed to look at all available evidence, all available political happenings, and say, could there have been a motive to remove Charlie Kirk from Earth? We're looking for who, how, and why. Who killed Charlie Kirk, how, and why? The why may give us the who. So let's take a look at PBD on the Jack Neal podcast, because this may give us a little insight into what was happening at the time. Again, we've looked at a piece of this before, but we're going to look at a little more of it today.
So from the beginning, he was not very complimentary of Reza Pahlavi.
Now, he's talking about Reza Pahlavi, who was the former leader, or the son of the former leader of Iran. And there's been a movement the last year or so to try to resurrect this guy's image so that the Iranian people would accept him and the U.S. people would support him being placed in a leadership position in Iran. I think that's largely failed. I think people sort of looked at it and thought, who is this guy? He has no ties to Iran. That's the context in which the next question is asked.
30 days before the U.S. and Israel bombed Tehran, the Times of Israel ran a piece. It said, why Patrick Bet-David is the leader Iran needs. Did you see this?
Mm-hmm.
It said, not the Shah's son, but you are actually the man who fits in this moment. I'm sure this is mostly just noise, but have those ideas been entertained by any serious players in your life?
Entertain meaning brought up to me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. We had extensive conversation about this last, I've never talked about this. We had extensive conversation about this last July when we were in the Hamptons. I got calls saying, do you have any interest? And then we had some major money guys that came to me and said, do you have any interest of wanting to do this in the States here? So we talked about it probably for 2 or 3 months. And then at the end of the day, I said, it's just not a job I want to do right now. But this happened probably from July of last year till October. And we made the decision we're not going to be doing this.
From July to October, what 2 major events in Charlie Kirk's life happened between July and October of 2025? That might give us an idea of the why he's dead. Major event number 1, he was hustled in the Hamptons, which happens to be where Patrick Bet-David was when he was first approached with this idea. The Hamptons. Would you like to run Iran? What a weird question. I've lived in the United States since I was 10. I've been here 45 years. Why would you think I want to run Iran? Or 40 years. Why would you think I want to run Iran? Irrelevant, sir. Objection, 403. Do you want to run Iran or not? I think it should have been a quick no. What the hell are you talking about? Why would I want to run Iran? They have a leadership. The country is currently not at war. Keep in mind the 6-day war had been over a month or so already. That was over in June. Or the 12-day war, excuse me. The 12-day war was over in June. He was approached in July. Meaning, whoever approached him, and he didn't name the person that approached him, but whoever approached him to be the leader of Iran, which it wasn't someone like Tucker Carlson. Like, it wasn't some low-level guy. It wasn't some podcaster. It wasn't some middle manager at Cisco. Like, if you're talking about approaching Patrick Bet-David to be the head of the Iranian government, you obviously have the ability to make him the head of the Iranian government. Well, ordinarily, we'd think the people who have the ability to make someone the head of the Iranian government are the Iranian people. Like, that's usually who chooses their leadership, right? Like, how do we pick a president? Well, they go into a primary, and then we have an election, a primary election, and then whoever survives the primary election, they compete in a general election, and then all the people go out and dutifully elect that person, and then he takes office, and on January 20th at noon, he raises his right hand, and he takes the oath of office. Seems pretty cut and dry. It doesn't sound like he was approached in the Hamptons by the Iranian people. It doesn't sound like 92 million people showed up in the Hamptons and were like knocking on his door. Hey, patty cakes. Boop, 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 boop. Mr. Bet David, are you in there? We'd like you to run Iran. I don't think that's what was happening. So who else might have the ability to decide who's going to run Iran? Well, it'd have to be somebody who knows there's about to be a leadership change. Again, in the context of the 12-day war, which had just ended, Iran and the United States and Israel were at peace. There was no war going on. They'd ended the war. He was approached in July. There was no hostility in Iran in July. So why would somebody approach him? Why would they think there was about to be an opening in the Iranian leadership? Well, somebody knew they were about to take out the Iranian leader, which is the first thing they did when the hostilities kicked back up after the start of the year. So we have June, we have the 12-day war. July, Patrick Bet David is approached after the end of the 12-day war and asked if he wants to run Iran. He said he had those conversations July, August, September, October. And he decided in October he didn't want to do it, which gives us a timeline between July and October. What happened in Charlie Kirk's life between July and October? Well, in August, he was hustled in the Hamptons. Between these 2 dates, between July and October, we have August. And Charlie is hustled in the Hamptons. And Bibi allegedly called in and joined in the hustling. And there were some offers made to Charlie Kirk, similar, I think, probably to the offers made to Patrick Bet David. Charlie Kirk said no. So that's August. And then September, Charlie Kirk's dead. And then in October, Patrick Bet David says, I don't think I want to do this. And in February, there's an opening for the government leader in Iran. Almost like somebody knew that was coming. Almost like somebody knew that was on the agenda, on the horizon. So you can't tell me that I'm crazy for suggesting that Charlie Kirk might have died because of his known opposition to conflict in Iran, his very logical, rational, reasoned, passionate defense of no conflict in Iran, when they were absolutely planning conflict in Iran at the time. When I was on the Julian Dory show, he said, why do you think Charlie Kirk died? I said, the Iran war. He said, well, there was no Iran war at the time. Well, no, there wasn't, but there was shortly afterwards. And according to Patrick Bet David, they knew there was about to be one. And the last thing they needed was some 6'5" pipsqueak who they had invested hundreds of millions of dollars in, maybe up to $1 billion. Given access to the White House, walking in and out of the Oval Office, giving speeches all over college campuses, using their money. By their money, I mean Jewish donor money, out there opposing the Iran war. They didn't need that. They didn't need that. So whatever the offer was that was made to Charlie, I would have to believe it came with a contingency that you cannot oppose the Iran war. Maybe you even have to support it. You're probably going to have to support what we're about to do over there. Maybe one of the offers was, we want you to support Patrick Bet David for the head of Iran. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but I think these are, in the words of the court in Utah, reasonable inferences. I think these are reasonable inferences. We have a right to make reasonable inferences when we look at the totality of what was going on. Well, what else was going on at the time? It wasn't just the Patrick Bet David thing. Something kicked off the Patrick Bet David conversation. This is not the one you highlighted. But that's okay. Is the one you highlighted in here? No. But we'll get through it. All right. You remember this letter, ladies and gentlemen? You remember this letter from the desk of Charlie Kirk? This is the letter Charlie Kirk wrote to Benjamin Netanyahu in May of 2025. Just 4 months before he died. He starts out talking about his joy of advocating for Israel. That's been one of his greatest joys as a Christian, is advocating for Israel. Forming alliances with Jews to fight and protect Judeo-Christian civilization. Then he said he spent months analyzing and debating, analyzing trends and debating ideas that could help you and your country push back against these developments. And these developments he's talking about is kind of the erosion of support for Israel. Anti-Israel sentiment can undermine support for Israel, undermine American support for Israel. What's the purpose of this letter? The purpose of this letter is to lay out our concerns and outline potential remedies. Ladies and gentlemen, that line right there may have gotten him killed. He might qualify it by saying, oh, this is from a place of deep love for Israel. But then he goes on to be brutally honest with those you love. Israel is losing the information war and needs a communication intervention. Then he mentions Easter. Oh, that goes well with the audience. Started to compose this letter to you on Easter. On my recent campus tours, half the questions I get are about Israel, and they're all negative. I often spend half my time on these campus tours defending Jews in Israel, and I'm proud to do it because I love these people. Sometimes it feels like I'm defending Israel in public more than your own government. Guys, put yourself in the shoes of the Beepster. Put yourself in the shoes of the Jewish donors who had invested tens and hundreds of millions of dollars in Charlie Kirk. Why? Primarily for him to support Israel, if we're being honest. And now he's saying, why are you guys making me do your dirty work? It's costing me on campus. It's costing me my street cred. Can't you imagine BB looking at him and saying, your street cred, you're nothing without me, pal. You're nothing without my donors. You're nothing without my money. And by my money, I mean the donors that are good with him. Can you imagine receiving this letter? And it's almost like a distant uncle who's been supporting his kind of nephew who's sort of been doing his own thing, and you've given him hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he comes back to you and he's like, all right, I'm done with you. You should have been doing this whole time. And you're like, wait a minute, I've provided you a great salary, benefits. I've helped you make a name for yourself. And now you're telling me you want out and you don't want to do this anymore. And it's on me. And I've somehow made a mistake by making you rich and famous. That's the role you want to play? You think you would have been in the Oval Office, but for people that support me, the people that support my cause? You think any of this would have been happening around you? No, you little pipsqueak. You'd still be running around sleeping with Bill Montgomery in hotel rooms. You'd still be running around probably starving to death. No one's ever heard of you, begging for $5,000 and $10,000 to eat the next month. And we've made you worth tens of millions of dollars personally. We've gotten you in business deals with the White House and the president's son. We've made you a multi-time New York Times best-selling author. You now have a successful podcast, and you want to come to me, you ungrateful little pipsqueak? That's how I think BB took it. That's how I think he took it. We go on because this is in May before he dies, so I think it's important context. My experience on college campuses matches a recent Harvard-Harris poll reported 48% of 18 to 24-year-old Americans support Hamas over Israel. Even in young MAGA circles, Israel is losing support. We're getting huge crowds of 4,000 to 5,000 students on some of my college tours. Visits are becoming like a rock concert atmosphere. Yet on these campus visits, I'm constantly confronted with, and then he lists off the worst things Mr. Netanyahu could possibly hear about his own country. Like, this is a list of questions you would never want to raise with this man. It's a list of questions you never want to raise when all of your donors support that guy. That is not where you want to go.
Hey, I put the highlighted one in there if you want to put that one on the screen.
Yeah, I can do that. I'm going to drop this and put the highlighted one in here. There it is. Thank you. So let me open this back up. I kind of like the way I was rolling through it. I was kind of getting after it. Okay. I'm often asked, why is Israel killing so many innocent civilians in Gaza? That's a tough question for the Beepster when he has plans for that area. He doesn't want to hear that question. He certainly doesn't want to hear that 90% of younger generations get their news from social media, and there's very little pushback or fact-checking by the Israeli government and or pro-Israel supporters in media. Because he's probably thinking, the recipient of this letter, the prime minister, is probably thinking, yeah, why would we? That's what we're paying you to do, you moron. That's what we're paying you to do. You're a little too big for your britches right now, Mr. Chuck. A little too big for your britches. I strongly suggest Israel is not always depend, not always. I strongly suggest Israel not always depend on subcontracting their information war efforts to surrogates in America. Mr. Prime Minister, I urge you to revamp your information warfare strategy from top to bottom. Now, when we close this letter, we're going to open up some things that have been done in the immediate aftermath of Charlie Kirk's death. The immediate aftermath, where they precisely quadruple down on this strategy of subcontracting their information war efforts to surrogates in America. In other words, yeah, we got your letter. We're not going to do any of this. Like, we don't have any interest in this. And if you don't want to be on our team, fine. Good luck. Good luck. Because it sounds to me like this letter is, I don't want to be on your team anymore. I don't want to be on your team anymore. Sometimes the impression is given Israel thinks everyone hates them. So why care about winning over hearts and minds? If there's any truth to this impression, I urge you to consider that social media and podcasts is where you fight for the hearts and minds of the younger generation. Obviously, all this negative Israel propaganda on social media easily translates into pro-Hamas, free Palestine sentiment on many college campuses. Do you think Beebster wants unsolicited recommendations from a guy his supporters have made and given everything he is? Do you think he's ready for a student becomes the master moment? Let me tell you something, old man. Here's how you need to run your country. Here's how you need to run your people. Here's how you need to run your information warfare campaign, if I do say so myself. Can you imagine you hire a subcontractor to come to your house and put a roof on? And then they come in and you pay them all this money and they get halfway done and they're like, hey, I think it's a bad look. The neighbors are making fun of you. They're calling you a pansy. They think you don't care about your roof. You're just subcontracting it out. They've not seen you up there busting up your knees. Here's what I think you should do. I know you paid me $30,000 to put that roof on, but here's what I think you should. You need to get up there, get a ladder. You need to get a tall ladder. And you need to get one of them little elevator things that they pull up the ladder, and that's how you're going to get the asphalt shingles up there, you see. And then you need to put the asphalt shingles on the roof, and then you need to get a nail gun. Bang, 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 bang. And you need to put them in. Then you need to measure out some gutters and some downspouts. Probably got to buy a truck for that. But I paid you to do this. No, this is why I paid you. I gave you money. You are a roofer. That's what roofers do. Yeah, but it's giving the wrong impression to the neighbors. They're calling you a pansy. They're saying you're not very manly. You're the kind of guy that hires someone to put your roof on. Yeah, I don't care. Put the roof on. I need a roof. And I'd cut big checks to you to put a roof on. Don't walk in my house with your dirty boots and the little asphalt shingle trimmings stuck all over your fingernails and tell me to build my own roof. I paid you to build a roof. I think that's how the prime minister received this letter. Wait a minute. That's what I'm paying you to do. Why are you telling me to do what I'm paying you to do? We've been paying you to do this, sir. We've paid you a lot of money to do this. And in the process, we've made you a very wealthy man. Made you a very wealthy man. And you've parlayed the money we've given you into multiplying it many times over in your personal life. In other words, we paid you to go around on college campuses and support Israel, and you parlayed that fame into a podcast and books and investment deals and private equity and real estate deals. Why don't you get back out there and pick the water bucket back up and start carrying it again? Don't tell me to pick it up. I paid you to carry that water around. Pick it up. Pick up the water bucket. For starters, you need a rapid response media team. He had one. It was called TPUSA. President Trump does this very effectively on social media with his own account and White House Rapid Response 47 team. Honestly, I don't even know if you have a press secretary. Mr. Kirk, may I make a suggestion? Let's not make fun of his media efforts. Let's not make fun of his media efforts. I strongly recommend putting together a team of pro-Israel experts who can fact-check misinformation in real time from Israel. And I can see him reading this letter and think, that's what I'm paying you to do. Like, the people who have a problem with this are the people on college campuses. You're the guy on college campuses. They're raising these issues to you. You need to fact-check this information in real time from Phoenix. From Phoenix or from the college campus. This is why I pay you the big bucks, big boy. Israel needs to take the lead in this effort. No more dependence on subcontractors. Again, we're going to show you in a minute how I think this letter might have contributed to Charlie Kirk's demise, because the moment he demised, the moment he was demised, they actually quadrupled down on not taking the lead on this effort and depending on subcontractors. We'll show you that in a minute. You need something perhaps like an Israel Truth Network, which can include social media channels and a one-stop source of information website where, for example, all the negative Israel questions I get can be thoroughly debunked. Well, then build one, Charlie. If that's what you think is needed, take some of that tens of millions of dollars you get every year and build the freaking website. You have 700 TPUSA employees that are paid for with donor dollars. Where do you think those donor dollars come from, Chuck? Where do you think those donor dollars come from? If you think that's something that needs to be done, you should get on it. Sounds like you're not doing your job. Sounds like you're not doing your job. Let Israelis explain in their own words how Israel's a pluralistic society, a free country with elected leaders. Why not show how your hospitals take care of wounded terrorists? Clips of Israel dropping flyers from airplanes warning Gazan civilians to get out of harm's way. It would have been nice to see an Israeli plane with a Star of David arrive in the U.S. full of supplies after a hurricane. Has Israel offered any assistance to the U.S. insofar as technology to protect our border with the missile defense shield President has discussed? In other words, this seems like a one-way relationship, sir. It seems like you want and want and want and take and take and take, and there's no give in this relationship. Better is to give than to receive. Better is to give than to receive. You're not giving anything. You might as well poke him in the eye and call him a greedy bastard. I'm not sure that's the right tone to take, Mr. Kirk. I'm not sure that's the right tone to take at all. if you're trying to stay alive. Israel needs to better portray itself as a member of Team Humanity. In other words, you don't exactly exude humanity, sir. You don't. When people think of humanity, they don't think of you. Now, these are the words of Charlie Kirk, not your humble host. Don't take it out on me, YouTube. Don't take it out on me, commenters. I'm just quoting Charlie Kirk. I'm providing context for some of the things he said. Don't rely on non-Israeli social media influencers to create all these clips. Okay. So you don't want to create the clips? That's fine. We don't need you then. Bottom line is Israel needs to learn to fish and be more self-reliant when it comes to your communication strategy. Another way to say this is, I'm tired of building your roof. I know you paid me to build the roof, but it's hot. It's hot out there. Sun's beaming down, guys. It's July in Phoenix. You want me to climb up there with asphalt shingles and start nailing stuff down? Mr. Prime Minister. No, sir. I've had enough of this. It's too hot. It's too hot out there. I don't want to be on that roof anymore. You need to get on your own roof if you want a roof. And by the way, while you're up there, the neighbor also needs a roof. Show some humanity, sir. Come on. Seriously. Why are you only building your own roof? For God's sake, neighbor's roof is falling in. Get on it. What are you waiting on? That's how I interpret this letter. That's how I see this letter. Iran. Here, now we get to the nitty-gritty. Israel could do a better job explaining the Iranian threat. Among the many conservatives who support Israel, there's a concern that America could become entangled in a quagmire in Iran. My generation grew up with the disasters in Afghanistan and Iraq. Ladies and gentlemen, those disasters were on his behalf. I don't think he wanted to hear them called disasters. I think they worked out quite nicely for him. He didn't have to lose very many people, if any. It didn't cost him any money. Win-win. Win-win from where he sits. Why are you calling it a disaster? Aren't you being paid to support him? I mean, let's just be honest. We were promised there were WMDs in Iraq, which proved to be a lie. Uh-oh. Where do you think that lie came from? Who do you think was the first to promote that lie on American soil? I would suggest to you it was the recipient of this letter. He just called him a liar. Now, you can read this letter and you could try to fluff it up and act like, oh, Charlie was just saying how much he loved Prime Minister and he just wanted them to succeed. That's what this letter was all about. He just loved them so much. No, he's telling them they're inhumane and liars. That's what he's telling them. You are an inhumane liar, sir. Our generation was also lied to by the governments of Israel and the U.S. that COVID vaccines were safe and effective. That's him again. He's calling him a liar on that point as well. Israel intelligence missed the boat on October 7, but we're asked to trust intelligence 100% that Iran is on the cusp of obtaining nuclear weapons. He was in power when they missed the boat on that. The guy you're writing the letter to was the guy who missed the boat. He was the Israeli intelligence. Guys, he's not holding back here. This is not a love letter. This is a poke in both eyes. Beep, beep. This is like Three Stooges stuff, but we don't know if he made that dorsal fin, right? This is a tough letter. This was written in May. It was written in May. He was dead in September. This is a tough, tough letter. We don't believe that you're competent. We believe you lie to us, and we don't trust you anymore. Those are tough words. Those are tough words when you've made your money, when you've made the bulk of your income from this guy's political coalition. Right now, it seems like Israel's primarily relying on Americans to make the case for attacking Iranian nuclear sites. Yeah, that's what he's paying you the big bucks. Get on it. What are you waiting on? Many agree with you, myself included, that Iran should not get nuclear weapons. At the same time, I share the concern that America will get sucked into another endless war, costing thousands of American lives. Where are the Israelis who are arguing their case to win over public opinion? Israel should be making its case 24/7 on social media, including long-form podcasts and social media channels and websites. Charlie, with all due respect, I'm just sitting here as the prime minister. May I assume his role for a second? Hold on. Trim the horns down. Charlie, with all due respect, get back on the roof and finish the job I paid you to do. Finish the job we paid you to do. Get back on the roof now. I think that's what the August phone call in the Hamptons was about. You going to get on the roof? Because if you're not going to get on the roof, there have to be consequences. I can't let someone talk to me this way. Like any political campaign, you need surrogates who can articulately promote this candidate's platform and identity. Talking about Miss Israel. When a candidate is hit with negative campaign ads, the effective response is for the candidate to personally respond to the attack ads. Candidate doesn't just rely on surrogates to get the truth out. One of Israel's biggest, most fundamental problems is typically your pushback is in the third-person voice. At the moment, you have some wonderful non-Israeli surrogates speaking on behalf of a candidate that has not defined herself. Again, talking about that. Israel has retreated from social media without a fight. How are you going to win over younger generations if you're starting out retreat on social media? Stop this retreat. Get in the information war fight. And this next line is where we really get. Saw that Israel has increased its Hasbro budget by 20x times, which is great news. There's also hundreds of millions of dollars raised by private pro-Israel groups. Some of this money should be directed into creating pro-Israel original homegrown content. In other words, I don't want your money anymore. I'm tired, boss. I'm tired. It's hot up there on that roof in July. I appreciate that you paid me, but I can't get back up there, dog. Some of your money needs to be redirected in building your own roof. You need to direct it into things like ladders and asphalt shingles, nail guns, nails, gutters. You're going to have to figure this out on your own. I appreciate the money you paid me to this point, but I don't want to do it anymore. You should perhaps consider reshaping your Hasbro department in more of a political campaign headquarters with campaign narrative experts. I've seen your IDF spokesman defend Israel standing at a dimly lit podium. This looks like a scene out of the 1970s, like some old Walter Cronkite clips of the TV news. In other words, not only do I want you to do it, you got to do a better job. The stuff you do is terrible. Oh, okay, that works. So I'm a liar, I'm inhumane, and I'm terrible at PR. Thanks. Appreciate your confidence. Take on some tough questions I get bombarded with on college campuses. Where are all the Israeli surrogates? Israel needs more first-person voices to defend her. Now he's yelling. He's yelling. That's all caps. Some of you send me comments in all caps. That's yelling, guys. It's yelling. Finally, the question is whether Israel has the willpower to step up its game in this information war. Might I suggest a few alternative words for willpower? Gumption, cojones, onions, acorns. He's questioning his manhood. You guys aren't fighting your own wars. You're causing the U.S. to do it. You're not helping us with our issues here at our home and as a show of gratitude. You're earning no goodwill. It's like you don't even care what we think. You're paying me a lot of money to go out there and fight your battles on college campuses. I don't even know if you have the manhood in your genes to do this job, sir. Do you? Are you a man? That's a tough letter. From my vantage point, the status quo is not working. Israel is getting crushed on social media, and you're losing younger generations of America, even among MAGA conservatives. In my opinion, you're losing the information war, which will eventually translate into less political and military support from America. Well, if what you're telling me is you're building a bad roof because I hired you to do this job, you need to get up there and build the roof. We're up there building it. It's not going very well, boss. Well, then you need to fix it. Well, it's come to the point where I think the only person who can fix it is you. Yeah, but I'm not a roofer. I'm an accountant. I leave in the morning and I come back at 6 o'clock and I eat dinner and I go to bed. That's why I hired you to put the roof on. Yeah, but man, you should look up there. It's a disaster. I know. Trust me, I know. There's rain leaking in my bedroom. I know how big of a disaster it is. You need to fix it. No, boss. Changed my mind. Getting out of the roofing business. I don't want to be a roofer anymore. I'm telling you, boss, it's hot up there. The roof is in far worse condition than I anticipated when I got up there. I'm at the point now where I don't know how to fix your roof. Okay. Oh, and by the way, all the neighbors hate your roof, and they hate you. And I don't think you have the manhood to build a roof, do you, old man? Mr. Counter, Mr. Bean Counter. You don't know how to build a roof, do you? You're just playing on your abacus all day with your slide rule, building spreadsheets and your ledgers. Okay, enough. I understand you don't want to build my roof, but you don't have to make fun of me on your way out quitting the job. You don't have to call my manhood into question just because I hired someone to build a roof. That is the context in which this letter was written. That's the context. That letter was sent on May 2nd. So again, let's build our little what's going on in the world of Charlie Kirk before he dies timeline. May 2nd, he sends letter to Bibi saying, you're not a man. You're abdicating your responsibility. I don't want to do this anymore. People hate you. You're inhumane. You're a liar. Anything else? Did I miss anything? And you're going to lose support going forward. That's May 2nd. Then we get the next month in June, the 12-day war. 12-day war ends. There's all these doom and gloom predictions, including from Charlie Kirk, that the 12-day war a war in Iran will be a disaster. He goes to the White House. He begs the president not to get involved. So it's not enough to just poke the prime minister in the eye, call him an inhumane liar and incompetent without manhood. That was in May. And in June, he's going directly into the White House, directly into the Oval Office, to beg the president to disregard the wishes of the audience of the letter, the recipient of the letter he just sent. You know that guy? You can almost see the conversation. I don't think you should do this, sir. In fact, I sent him a letter, this guy begging you to bomb Iran. I sent him a letter just last month. I called him not a man, incompetent, lazy, inhumane, a liar, and a few other things. And he walks out of the Oval Office, and the president sides with the recipient of the letter, and he launches the bombs. The war only lasts 12 days. It ends quickly. In July, as evidence that this is not the only action planned, in July, they go to PBD and say, you want to run Iran? Run Iran? Iran has a leader. There's no war. You guys had a quick war. Now it's over. You told me you obliterated their nuke supplies. Why would we need to go to, that was the whole justifiable reason to go in there in the first place, was to stop them from acquiring nuclear weapons. And we've done that. You promised us you did that. So no, I don't think I want to do that. But let me noodle on it for 90 days. Well, in those 90 days, that's July, May, letter, June, war, July, approach PBD, August, approach Charlie Kirk again. This is the context in which that phone call in the Hamptons took place. This is the context in which the offer took place, whatever that offer was. And Charlie said no. It was all allegedly, all through hearsay from Andrew Colvett to Candace, but this is the context in which that phone call took place. Charlie says no in August. That's early August. Mid-August, Charlie gets a strange question at a donor retreat. If you die, who's going to take over? Die? I'm 31 years old, healthy as a horse. I exercise. I run. What do you mean die? 31-year-olds don't drop dead. Not without warning. Oh. Well, lo and behold, the very next month, just 3 weeks after that question, he did, in fact, drop dead without warning. I think it's reasonable to ask, did that letter have anything to do with the fact that he dropped dead without warning? Did the phone call in August have anything to do with the reason he dropped dead without warning? Did his walking into the Oval Office to oppose what was taking place in Iran have anything to do with why he dropped dead in September without warning? I think it's a reasonable question to ask. And in context, the answer starts to look like, well, maybe. I mean, I think you could draw a reasonable inference that that might have something to do with it. Do you have any positive evidence? Well, no, I don't. I mean, what would positive evidence be? Someone admitting it? But I think we're allowed to speculate at this point and say, kind of looks like that's what was going on. Kind of looks like Charlie wanted out of the game. Now, keep in mind the consequences of losing a roofer and losing Charlie Kirk. That's where the analogy begins to really break down. Because if Charlie walks away from the donor money, he's still Charlie Kirk. He could still fire up a podcast. He can still write a book. He can still get speaking gigs. He can still walk into college campuses. He doesn't need the donor money at this point. He's become bigger than the donor money. You can pull it away from him, and it will hurt a little bit. He might have to trim his staff size a little bit. You can pull a lot of it away from him. And crucially, you could collapse TPUSA down to nothing. But the influential voice that is Charlie Kirk, he would remain. They tried this with Tucker Carlson. Let's get rid of him at Fox News. Tucker Carlson's bigger now than he was. They tried this with Candace Owens. Let's get rid of her at Daily Wire. She's now bigger than she was. Imagine what would have happened if they tried it with Charlie Kirk. You get rid of him at TPUSA, you can't run that risk that he becomes bigger than he was. Imagine a Charlie Kirk podcast network where all he has to do now, he doesn't have to go meet with donors. He doesn't have to carry anybody's water. He just takes his influential voice on the air for an hour or two every day, puts on a show like Tucker Carlson, like Candace Owens, continues his investing, continues making relationships, continuing to get booked at speaking gigs. I don't think that's a risk anyone could take at that point. My roofer walking away is not really that big of a deal. I'll go hire another roofer. That roofer's not going to do me any harm. What's the worst he's going to do? Go tell other roofers that my roof sucks? Okay. Charlie Kirk is not your roofer. That's where the analogy diverges. If Charlie Kirk walks away, he could do you a lot of harm. A lot of harm. So pulling his donor money away left him with no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. It wasn't a platforming dispute. It wasn't even a survival dispute. Charlie Kirk was going to survive. His name was too big. He was loved by too many people. Walking away from the pro-Israel cause was the death sentence. The damage he could do if he walked away. And what kinds of things might he say? Well, he gave a nice preview in that May letter. Inhumane, liar, intelligence failures, having America fight your wars for you. Sounds a lot like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. Sounds a lot like Dave Smith. Sounds a lot like some really influential podcasters who caused them a lot of problems. And it would have added a very influential voice to that mix. No, it had to be more like the mafia, I'm afraid. You can't just walk away from the mafia. Why? You know too much. Can't just walk away from the pro-Israel cause, especially if you're influential. Because turning would turn millions of people along with you. If Charlie Kirk walked away from the cause, walked away from TPUSA or transformed TPUSA, or maybe had to lean it and mean it a little bit because some of the money dried up. But if he walked away and he became a very prominent, influential voice that joined the cacophony of other very prominent, influential voices, growing this, and I don't know the word I'm looking for, this anger, this frustration, it would really be problematic. Really, really be problematic. And it would cause tweets like this to perhaps not be as easily draftable, because maybe with Charlie Kirk fighting against it, this wouldn't work. This is an AIPAC tweet from today, after the elections yesterday. AIPAC congratulates the 21 pro-Israel candidates who won their primaries tonight in Florida, including several who defeated anti-Israel candidates determined to undermine the U.S.-Israel alliance. We congratulate pro-Israel incumbents, and then they list a bunch. With their victories, more than 254 AIPAC-backed candidates from both parties have now advanced to the November general election. These results demonstrate that AIPAC's nearly 7 million members are resolute in their determination to help elect pro-Israel leaders between now and November and in the many cycles ahead. It's headlines like that that needed to be preserved. It's the status quo where that headline could even be drafted, where that political reality could exist. Because TPUSA supported a lot of those types of people. What if Charlie Kirk had been working against them? What if he'd taken his influence out on the road and said, you know what, guys? This is a danger. We've got a real problem on our hands. I'm not sure this is the path we need to travel. It would have been problematic. Now, quickly, I want to roll through some of these things that happened after the letter. In July, this is probably about the time they approached PBD about running Iran. This is after the 12-day war. This is before the August meeting in the Hamptons with Charlie Kirk. This is the end of July. A speech from the Prime Minister.
We have fought now a 7-front war. We have an 8th front, and that is the front in the battle for truth. And I can think of no one who can carry this battle alongside with us, no one who can do it better than you on this channel, than you, Paula, and our many Christian friends who must fight for our common values, who must stand up for the truth. And by standing up for the truth, you stand up with Israel, and you stand with the Jewish people against this abomination of falsehoods. We can win this war exactly as we win the 7-front war.
Does it sound like he's taking Charlie's advice? Does it sound like he's starting his own home front on this war? No. How are we going to win this 8-front war? You guys here in this room. You Americans. Paula. Our Christian friends here in America. You're going to be the way we win this war. That's not at all what Charlie was recommending in the letter. Sounds like he disagreed. Sounds like he disagreed. After that speech, we start getting a slew of FARA filings. This one from Genesis Consulting. Registrant proposes to provide to the Foreign Principal strategic communication support, content creation, and influencer outreach aimed at improving Israel's public image. These services will be carried out via a digital media, social platforms, and advisory support. Sounds like they began the process of outsourcing even more of their issues. Yeah, well, okay, you don't want to do it through TPUSA? Fine. We'll pay for it. I guess we don't need you, do we, Charlie? We'll just, you want us to do it? Fine, we'll pay for it. We'll just give the money to someone else. We'll just give the money to someone else. It's in that context that this tweet was drafted. Right here. This is from Harrison Smith, August 13th. I'm not going to name names, but I was told by someone close to Charlie Kirk that Charlie thinks Israel will kill him if he turns against them. Okay. Charlie sends letter in May, 12-day war in June, approach PBD in July to run Iran when there's no active conflict. July 27th, Bibi says we're starting an eighth front war. We're going to outsource it to you Christian influencers here in the United States. August 4th or 5th, Charlie declines the offer on the BB phone call. August 11, they file the first of the FARA reports saying that we're going to be one of the companies doing the outsource. Our company, Genesis Consulting, you can outsource to us. August 13, Harrison Smith says, I think they'll kill me. Quoting Charlie through hearsay. August 26th. August 26th. 2 weeks before Charlie Kirk passed, we get this tweet, or we get a tweet about that date from the Beebster himself. Charlie Kirk was murdered for speaking the truth and defending freedom, a lion-hearted friend of Israel. He fought the lies and stood tall for Judeo-Christian civilization. I spoke to him only 2 weeks ago and invited him to Israel. Sadly, that visit will not take place. Should have gone to Israel. Maybe he'd still be breathing. I think that's the message. I think that's the message. I think it's the message to everyone else. If I invite you, you should come. It's good for your health. Prevents lead poisoning. Now, we saw that initial FARA filing in August. What happened the day after Charlie died? The day after Charlie died. That's when the registrations start coming in hot. This was September 11th. Steve Rabinowitz, registrant will seek to publicize in the news media a proposed peace agreement reached between the foreign principal and Palestinian leadership. So that's the day after. What about the week after? That's where we get Clock Tower X. Clock Tower X on September 18th. Registrant shall provide strategic communications, planning, and media services in support of Israel. To develop and execute a nationwide campaign in the United States to combat anti-Semitism. Well, Charlie? Okay. What about September 26th, 16 days after Charlie passes? Assist with promoting cultural interchange between the United States and Israel. That's Bridges Partners. What about September 27th, 17 days after Charlie's passing? Christian outreach through various grassroots and digital targeting of Christians in the Western U.S. We will create mobile museum to display at churches, Christian colleges, Christian events. We will target and distribute pro-Israel information and online through targeted geofencing and digital online tools. We will have teams of people reaching out to churches and pastors and possibly even Christian social media influencers. Some of this is still undecided and fluid, but these are the outlets we've planned and proposed. That's Show Faith by Works. That's September 27th. Doesn't that sound a little bit like what TPUSA was doing at the time? So again, build your timeline of what was going on. Give us the context. May 2nd, he writes a letter. June. After he writes the letter, poking the beast right in the eye, calling him a liar and inhumane and everything else. Do this yourself. I'm tired of carrying your water. You need to learn how to carry your own water. That's in May 2nd. In June, he walks into the Oval Office to oppose the recipient of that letter, the Prime Minister of Israel. After that visit, the 12-day war kicks off. After the 12-day war concludes, they approach PBD and say, would you like to run Iran? Run Iran? Yeah, run Iran. Well, there's no war. Well, would you like to? July 27, Bibi tells Christian audience, I'm going to win this war through you. You American Christians, we're going to outsource this war to you. This is the Eighth Front. This is the image of Israel in America. This is coming through you guys. August 4th and 5th, Charlie's hustled in the Hamptons. Get on the team, big boy. You're blowing it. You need to get back in line. August 13th, Charlie puts out a video saying, or not a video, Charlie sends somebody a message saying, I think Israel will kill me if I turn my back on him. That comes out through Harrison Smith. August 26th-ish, the Beepster invites Charlie to Israel. September 10th, Charlie dies. And his goal of not outsourcing this and taking it on from inside the state of Israel is firmly rejected. September 11th, Blue Light Strategy files a FARA report. September 18th, Clock Tower X files a FARA registration. September 26th, Bridges Partners files a FARA registration. September 27th, Show Faith by Works files a FARA registration. Have you ever seen, in my opinion, sort of a more cut and dry explanation for what was happening behind the scenes when Charlie died? Have you ever seen a more cut and dry A, B, C, D, E equals F? And we know it equaled F because immediately after F, G, H, I, J, K. Seems pretty cut and dry to me. Seems pretty cut and dry. Like, I don't know how you interpret that timeline any other way. But Baron, are you saying definitively this proves that 100% Israel killed Charlie Kirk? No. What I'm suggesting is there's a reasonable inference that there was a strong motivating factor that Charlie Kirk should be removed in order to favor the pro-Israel cause. That's a reasonable inference supported by a bevy of facts. You line all these facts up, and it's reasonable to make that inference. Do you have any positive evidence? Well, what would positive evidence be? A tweet, a message from BB saying, kill the little son of a biscuit. I mean, that would be positive evidence, but how are we going to get that? I mean, people don't broadcast that stuff. Instead, you have to look for the clues that are before you. We're not reading tea leaves. We're reading FARA filings. We're reading Twitter. We're reading a letter that Charlie Kirk wrote to Prime Minister of Israel, in which he said, you should do all this stuff. I'm tired of doing it. It's not working. It's causing me harm. And then Charlie Kirk dies, and they just outsource all that work to other people. So I don't say all of it to point the finger and say definitively, I'm convinced, I know. I say it to say, give people space to sit back and investigate the death of Charlie Kirk. Who killed Charlie Kirk, how and why? We got to gather all these facts. Like if someone's murdered, one of the things you ask them is, who was mad at him? Who had motivation to kill this guy? Who benefited from his death? That's what we're looking at. Who had a motivation to kill him? Who benefited from his death? it looks like this at least needs to be considered. And I don't think people are crazy or evil or satanic or, whatever for asking this question. I think it's a legitimate question that needs to be followed up on. That's all. Guys, I appreciate your support. The decoy shirt, holy mackerel. The decoy shirt flew off the shelves yesterday. If you go to the website, realbaronpodcast.com, you have all the different merch stuff. The Bad Cop Trucker hat has also flown off the shelves in high demand. The Bull Butter hat is a very popular item here. The Get a Daisy shirt also moving quickly. There's a Get a Daisy hat as well. It's that same logo, but it's on the hat. And then you have the very popular, very famous, where'd it go? Decoy shirt. There it is. This flew off the shelves. Still $17. They are hustling us to try to raise this price. We're fighting them. But the vendor is getting to the point where they're irritated with our low prices. So they get paid based on the price of the shirt. So they want to make more money off of us. We're fighting them, but at some point they may win because, if they threaten to remove themselves as vendors, that puts us in a bind. So for right now, it's still $17. I don't know how long we can resist them, but there it is. The decoy shirt, one of the most popular items we've ever added to the merch site. Guys, don't forget to hit the like button. Just give it a rappy tap. You don't have to crush it. You don't have to do it any harm. You don't have to hurt it at all. All you have to do is give it a little tap. Give it a little tap. Don't damage your screen. Don't damage your television, your remote control, your computer. Just click the button. Just click the like button. It does help the program quite a bit. If you have not subscribed, now's a good time to do that. When you subscribe, you can hit the down arrow. It'll give you an option to click your notifications, and that will let you know when we go live. But if you do that, make sure you have your YouTube notifications enabled on your device. Go to your notification setting and roll down and make sure the toggle is on for YouTube, or you're not going to get them even if you've selected the notifications. I think only 11% of our subscribers had their YouTube notifications on. We're able to see that on the back end. So make sure you do that. I wanted to mention that when I saw that. I feel like a lot of people don't get the notification, and that might be why. All right, with your permission, ladies and gentlemen, I will roll through some of your comments. Daisy, if you're out there and the principal puts up a time, let me know what time she puts up, because that will give me an idea of, I know people would like to run over there and watch when she starts, but no time yet. So we've got time still with us. All right. Yesterday, you stated they took Zen to the same hospital. Why would they take him there when the rest of the patients were directed to the other hospital? That's a misreading of what the warrant said. They took him to Utah Valley Hospital. That's actually in Provo. Intermountain Hospital is where, not Intermountain Hospital, or whatever it's called, the other hospital, Timpanogos Regional. That's the hospital where Charlie Kirk went. George Zen went to Utah Valley Hospital. So I'm glad we're able to make that clarification. Hope you're feeling better. I am, but I went early today because I don't think I'll feel better tonight. I'm fading quick. I do not feel great. I don't feel as bad as I did yesterday. I got a pretty good night's sleep, ate well, hydrated, a goat water and a third into today. But I was fading quick around noon, and I thought, I don't know that I have it in me to do a late show. So I did a matinee. Hey, B, number one Boomer fan here. Went to the doctor yesterday wearing one of my RBP shirts, and you became the topic of wonderful conversation, even with my doctor. Living in rural Maine, that felt like a big win for our high IQ team. You got a lot of good people there in rural Maine. There's a lot of good people in rural Maine. Tucker lives in rural Maine. I looked up if you can manufacture gold like lab-grown diamonds, and sure enough, you can. Google says the scientists at CERN do this. What do you think their goal is with this alchemy? I've never heard of that. I didn't know you could do that. I know people have been trying that for generations. I think they use lead because it's like one digit off on the, I don't know, what do you call that thing? The periodic table of elements. I've never heard of that. I hope you're feeling better today, B. I'm trying. I'm doing my best. I'm here. My B, where did you come up with humble host? Love it, by the way. Go Max. Christ is king indeed. I used to say that on the radio. I don't know where it came from. I've been saying that for years. 10, 15 years. You and Candace give us normies hope. Go Max. Hope. Hope. Put your hope in the things above. Regarding the Charlie bombshell text message, if Charlie texted that he was fearful French pastry chefs were going to murder him, it would be irrelevant to the fact that a group of German auto mechanics actually did it. Are you suggesting he was killed by an Audi factory? I don't think so. I don't think so. I wanted you to know something more about Humboldt County than their 420 Mary Jane Crisis, B. It's known for the filming of Salem's Lot and Outbreak, too, though. So I've seen both of those movies. I was like in 6th grade when I saw Salem's Lot. Not a fan. I don't like scary movies. Did not like it that night either. I was at a friend's house. He passed away years ago. He was quite alive when I watched it at his house. Don't get me wrong. I think he died in 2004. I think he was like 25 when he died. But yeah, I did not like that. But I did like Outbreak. That was a fun movie. I think that was pre-programming, getting us ready for these artificial viruses that are created and released on us and cause us to shut down. It sort of preconditions the mind to accept this government overreach. If you remember, that was the point of it. They shut everyone down. Love you, Miss Daisy. Crisis King and D. Go Max. We will do our best. We will do our best. Wanted to show support. Thank you. I appreciate that, Tisha. Very kind of you. Love the earlier shows. Some do, some don't. Edge is not going to be happy with today. Did you know when you watch one RBP episode while delivering in a box truck, it equals 8 hours of time with the grand jury? Now you know. Thanks for the company while I work. Oh, because you have to keep hitting pause when you get out? So it takes you 8 hours to watch one show? Well, you're welcome. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. I hope this one goes a little smoother. Welcome in. We have a big show. We do have a big show. We do have a big show. Big fan of big shows. Baron yanked and banked my way to get here from the gym in my Love You My B tank from Canada. Thank you, Jess. I bet you look great up there in Canada. Yanking and banking in your Love You My BT. Hope you're feeling better, Baron. Wish I had some super great bombshell to drop. I just want to say God bless. That is a super great bombshell, if we're being honest. Hey, Baron, 11 months of watching your content has opened my eyes so much. Thank you, and Christ is King. Indeed. Thank you. I appreciate that. Very kind of you. If you've been here 11 months, you've seen a lot of changes. Lighting, camera quality. Well, the sound quality did improve for a while, and then it kind of crapped out. We're going to improve that soon. But yeah, you've been through some changes if you've been here 11 months. My B, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. The jury is ready for our humble host. The humble host is ready for your jury. Congratulations on the milestones of moving your son into college. I'm a few years behind you, but definitely look up to you for how you're handling this. Thank you. Thank you. I got a picture of him from the Walmart today. He was shopping for groceries. 2 months. Been watching since November. Love the show. Can we submit designs for merch? I've got a few I've done already. Christ is King. Much love to you and Daisy. You can. There's no guarantee you'll ever hear from anyone. Nurse Casey gets a lot of designs for merch. She handles all the merch, so everything you see goes through her fingers at some point. If you submit a design, don't submit a mock-up like on a hat or a shirt. Submit the actual design in I think they call it vector format or whatever, so that she can size it and get to exactly what she needs. That will help. But again, she gets a lot of submissions. Can't use them all, so she just picks and chooses. But yeah, happy to. realbaronpodcast@gmail.com. Yo, 1 month, semi-long time listener, first time caller. Baron, you are like a bonus dad to me, though I'm just 11 short years younger. Can we get a taste like Alpo? Good for dogs, bad for people on back shirt. I don't think Alpo would like that. I don't know if I want to put the word Alpo on a shirt. I think they may come after me. I have to run that by an IP lawyer, see what they think. But thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you checking in. Daily Wire is supporting Bree A. Dale attacks on Father Joseph DiMarzo for saying the Fed narrative is sloppy. I want to get a larger following to see his name if you don't mind it through here. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't even know who Bree A. Dale is, so that tells you how effective Daily Wire is these days. Number 23 on Spotify. We're coming for you, Bongina. I did not know I was up to number 23 on Spotify. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you for letting me know. And if you guys ever miss a show, Spotify is a great way to watch a replay. A lot of people have Spotify Premium that don't have YouTube Premium. So if you have Spotify Premium, no commercials. No commercials. I'm telling you. Now, if you don't have Premium either, you're going to get a commercial either way. But Spotify has been a great partner with us. They've always been supportive. Very fast to fix any issues that come up. Very easy to work with. Very happy to have them on board. Showed support in a court case. I had to translate to the rest of the family. Thanks for all the education, Barron. Barron School of Law. Now, I'm sure you're talking about translating legal issues, but let me explain to you something that happened to me one time. I've got time. I was in a case and we needed a Vietnamese translator. We needed one quickly for a deposition. The deposition was scheduled at a one of those little conference rooms in the Hampton Inn in town. And the translation service was like, we can't get you a Vietnamese translator for like 6 weeks. And we're like, no, it's too late. We need one tomorrow. And so your humble host was a young puppy lawyer, 25, 26 years old, and thought, well, I eat at a little Vietnamese restaurant frequently. I know the server speaks to her dad in Vietnamese and speaks to me in English. If we can get the other side to agree, maybe we can just pay her to do it. So I call the restaurant. I think it's pretty innocuous. Dad answers the phone, and I try to explain that I need his daughter to translate a deposition. He doesn't know what that means, but he's picking up a few of the words I'm using. Like, I want to pay your daughter, and I want to take her to the Hampton Inn, and I only need her for a couple of hours. It did not go well. The conversation went horrifically. He started yelling at me on the phone. I immediately raced up to the restaurant to try to clarify it in case he somehow figured out it was me and came hunting for me. Talked to the daughter, explained the whole thing. She explained the whole thing. He was still not amused. He was still not amused. So be careful. Be careful when you're out there translating. Have they learned nothing? No, they've learned nothing. My oldest granddaughter started college this week. Time flies so fast. The hardest day for me, though, was the day each of my children got married. Yeah. They do grow fast. You know, Mrs. Coleman and I watched the Time opening on the Clips channel, Baron Coleman Clips. If you're not a subscriber over there, that's a great channel. I don't have anything to do with it. I've got an editor that goes through and makes all the clips. He's great. But on that Baron Coleman Clips channel, he put the Time opening on there because a lot of people asked for it. And so I thought, I'm dropping my son off at college. I need to listen to this. I should not have made that mistake. It was a terrible decision. I cried. Love a matinee, not to be confused with manatee, but they're fine too. You talking about sea cows? Yeah, they're fine. Late shows are during dinner and kiddos' bedtime, so matinees I can catch live. Side note, what kind of mouse do you use? Apple mouse. I've got 2 backups on standby because they die, and I don't want it to die during a show. So I've got 2 fully charged backups over here on standby. But yeah, it's just I don't know what kind of mouse that's called. Apple mouse. Bought them on Amazon. Fed Sloppers' double standard is so obvious. Hold every opinion we have to an impossible standard, then interpret any legal document in any way they feel like it and blast it to the public. Sad. It's almost like they're dishonest actors. It's almost like they're Fed Sloppers. That's kind of the way it feels to me, if I'm being honest. Hoodie figured out the exact model of backpack the man in the black had. So I bought it and tested it. Matches the object swinging from his hand perfectly and fits in an SBR. Short-barreled rifle. Images on my page. I believe you. I believe you all. Obsessed with the Red Baron. Celebrating the fact that I got rid of X. The lies make me cray-cray. Even though I don't interact on there, lies everywhere. Kristen. Critter. You could not be more correct. Lies everywhere. There are many senior age retirees in Phoenix. You ask me a question? Is that a question? I mean, Phoenix is like a retirement capital. It's like God's waiting room. Not really, but you know what I mean. That's like a popular place to go. Weather's good all year round. You good on breathing issues. Don't have to shovel snow. No income tax. My relationship with God has never been stronger. It gives me so much reassurance. Thank you for contributing to my journey. Christ is king indeed. Smoked paprika. That's wonderful. I like smoked paprika. I hope you're feeling better, B. Go Max. Better. Not perfect, but better. Better. Love the early show. I'll allow it. Christ is king indeed. Some love it, some hate it. Little surprise. Midweek matinee. Had to quickly pivot from my midday surveillance on Axle 21 just to watch this. Go Max. Christ is king indeed. Now you got me looking up where Axle 21 is. Hold, please. So last night, I got a little spooked when Daisy suggested that Axle 21 had just flown over my house. And she was, in fact, correct. No, Axle 21 is... well, that's weird. Did it go back to Nashville again? No. Yeah, so it flew over the house while I was doing a podcast, and then we looked at the earlier flight, and it flew over Candace's house while she was doing a podcast. Or I don't say where she lives, but I mean the Nashville area. They don't have to be like directly overhead. They could be 20, 30 miles off course and still get a pretty good idea what's going on the ground. Does the Defense for TR have the ability to request info from like the cell phone towers, flock cameras and the like? Or are they only allowed to use info from the prosecution? No, they can do their own investigation. They're allowed to do their own investigation. They have subpoena power. Valhalla Nate provided that the shooter in film, when he crawled, was on wrong roof to reach CK. Did you see this pod? Elizabeth Lane was guest. Yes, I did, and I'm assuming you did not watch the entire podcast because Matt from Trigger Smart came in and sort of pointed out that the shooter probably actually was in the correct position. Your humble host and Daisy got online and looked at a screen, and we could see where the shooter actually was in the correct position. So no shade on Nate for getting that wrong. People get things wrong. I don't even think the Fountain of Youth could restore some of those people. Did I say that? I think I did say that, didn't I? I didn't mean to say it. No, I mean, it's true, though. It's true. Like, you got to drink in the Fountain of Youth when you're still young. You don't want to be trapped. I mean, once you're old, what's the point? When the body's already broken down, you don't want the Fountain of Youth to kind of preserve you in that pickled state. I love the matinee. I get up at 2 a.m. Eastern every day to hit the gym for work. So I usually, on replay, not nice of you to collude with CA to make Andrew look stupid on these 7 charges, man. Well, I did not collude with anyone. I neither confirm nor deny any conversations I have. But no, I didn't collude. Candace doesn't need my help for a debate. She's brilliant. 2 a.m. Eastern. The hell time you go to work? What time do you go to bed? Like 5 p.m.? That's a crazy time to get up. Got to do what you got to do. Edge. Oh, Edge, I was so worried you wouldn't be here because you were telling me during matinees you might not arrive once school starts. I guess school hasn't started yet. Hope you're better. Your eyes are a little under the weather, but you seem more energetic. Thanks for the legal explanation. Helpful and appreciated. As always, love you. Yeah, my eyes are tired because I'm not in good shape. But I'm better than I was. So hopefully I'm continuing. I'm on the path to recovery, hopefully. The rabbit holes you go down put you in potential harm's way. I hope not. So many of us are inspired by what you're doing. And if anything bad should happen, they need to know that 361,000 angry little bees have your back. Let's just wish for the best, would you? Can we just not talk about the negative? Let's not speak that stuff into existence. Please tell Candace to stop apologizing for ever going long on her show. The more CO, the better. Hard eyes. You can tell her yourself, but I'm sure she knows. Did Tyler change his G-string in the bush? I didn't see a G-string in evidence. Curious if we know whether Special Agent Cox from yesterday's document is related to Governor Cox. No, I don't know. If I've learned anything about Utah, very few last names, a lot of people with them. I don't know why that is. But, in a lot of states, if you find a Cox and you look around the area and you see some other Coxes, you're like, yeah, they're probably related. Then you find an obituary and, yeah, sure enough. Not so in Utah. You can find some weird last names and there's like 200,000 of them. You're like, oh, must have been the first guy that arrived. They must have had that same name. TP, where's the beef? Us. It's in the bun. Okay. Roger. Hi, B and Daisy. Amazed and thankful for all y'all do. I have been forever changed by the loss of Charlie. Jesus is doing amazing things through you and Candace. Praying for you, Candace, and the fams. Thank you. I appreciate that. Prayers always appreciated. Catching up on yesterday's awesome show, followed by a matinee, makes for a great birthday gift from my B. Hope you and the jury are doing well. Well, Mail Lady Mama, happy birthday. Hope it's a wonderful day. It's your day. Go, Mail Lady Mama. My B. Just your monthly reminder of Father Dan. Christ is King indeed. Yeah, I actually told someone in the last week, I need to get back with him. He said he would do it, and then I've just never emailed him back. So I need to do that. I need to just bone up and ask George as well. I keep waiting on George to be like, hey, man, I hear you want me on your podcast. These are the dates I'm available. Probably not going to happen. Humble thank you from a humble Portuguese salary. Christ is King indeed. A humble thank you back to you, good sir. Or ma'am. You will deny it, but why are you refusing to have Andrea Burkhart on? So a couple of things. You've assumed motive that I'm refusing to have a particular person on. I'm not refusing to have anyone on. I almost never have guests. I've had maybe 10 total guests in 11 months, and those all but one or two of them were on the I think I've had 3 guests on the main show and maybe 6 or 7 on the member show. I just don't do a lot of guest format. I'm not an interviewer. I'm happy to interview people, but I'm not an interviewer. It's not an interview format show. I mean, some people are, like Tucker Carlson's an interview show. Joe Rogan's an interview show. Julian Dory's an interview show. Jack Neal's an interview show. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, they're masters of their craft, right? They do a great job. That's never been my forte. I've never done it. So that's like why I refuse to have anyone on. Not a refusal. It's just not what I do. Andrea Burkhart in particular. So even if I said, yeah, I'm going to have guests on occasionally, just because I have one person on, like I had Coach Colin, I had Matt from Trigger Smart, I had Zach Costello, I had Danks. That doesn't mean that I'm like rejecting everyone else on earth. That's not a rejection because I have a positive selection of somebody. So I don't know that there's anything to deny, but I think that comment's kind of wild, if I'm being honest. Jason Isbell will host Shoals Fest first week in October. Christ is King indeed. I've grown so discouraged that the real offenders who actually planned and successfully executed Charlie will never be brought to justice. This makes me hate what we now know our government is, criminals. Oh, you must be late to the party. High IQ lady law lover. I'll let you in on a little secret. That's something I've known for a long time. Now, we've known that for decades. Our government is run by gangsters. So grateful and thankful for all you and Daisy do to bring the truth. Christ is King indeed. And God bless you and your family. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, I'm 69 over here. For every show, come on now. Be nice to us loyal boomers. Love you, B. I'm a great grandma of 1. Wait until you hold that baby. Oh, I hope to make it. I hope to make it to great granddad status. No, I'm not banging on boomers, but I am pointing out that the shift from TPUSA is just utterly obvious. Like they dropped the word young from the Women's Leadership Summit. It used to be the Young Women's Leadership Summit. Now it's just the All Ages Apply Leadership Summit. It used to be a college-aged organization aimed at college people, and now it is not. It's just aimed at the Fox News class because their message no longer resonates with college people. Their message is just whatever Sean Hannity said last night. Today's my 40th birthday. I'm wearing my beautiful Christ is King RBP shirt, which was a birthday present. That sounds like a perfect 40th birthday present. If I may be so bold as to say so myself. Happy birthday. Asking for prayers. I was excited to announce soon that we're expecting a new family member. Sadly, yesterday we learned I have miscarried. Today is my and my dad's birthdays. I had a hard day, but Christ is King indeed. Kristen, I've been there. I've been there more than once. People don't understand the pain of a miscarriage until you go through it. and just know you're not alone. When we first experienced it and started talking to people about it, we realized it was a very, not ubiquitous, but a very common occurrence among the people that we looked up to and respected. And yeah, so sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that, but happy birthday. It's amazing how dumb people are today. Yeah, I feel that way every day. Every day. I wake up and I'm like, man, again today, dumb people everywhere. Not this audience, not the jury. I'm talking about like the Fed sloppers. Did we ever find out about the old military roommates, like who they were, where they went? That keeps bugging me, but the LT was connected to military people. Love from Iowa. B, sorry if I missed a class, VP. No, I'll allow it. I'm forgiving this once. You tighten up, though. I, too, was a little concerned by that. It just sort of briefly passed by, and then it was gone. So I'd like to follow up on that as well. Who were the military people? And is there a military base in St. George? I don't know. B, if someone was acquitted of murder, what happens to the investigation? Well, it depends. If the state continues to pursue it, they go keep the case open and look for the killer. If they are pretty confident the person they tried and were not successful in convicting did it, they don't continue. For example, there's no active investigation into the Casey Anthony case. Like, they think she did it. There was no active investigation into the OJ case. They think he did it. Whether or not that's true in either case, I don't know. I'm not suggesting they're guilty. I'm just saying, like, if the state is pretty confident they had their man or woman and that person gets acquitted, they usually just kind of wrap up the investigation and move on. Just take the L and go forward. But if they learn something during the investigation that says, oh, wait a minute, we're trying the wrong person, well, then hopefully they keep the investigation open and continue. Do police then look for another suspect, or can the case simply end without anyone being held responsible? Thank you for all you do. Well, sorry, I should have read the whole comment, but yeah. When he said positive evidence, all I heard was, I know you are, but what am I? Thank you for all you do. Please stay safe. God bless you and your family and the lovely Miss Daisy. Christ is king indeed all day long, all night long, all night, all night. So, boomers, I like your music too. I like your music too. That was Lionel Richie, young people. I love the early shows. I love the decoy shirts. Well, thank you, and thank you. Thank you. I put my wooden box in the closet just to be here. Well, it should be there anyway, apparently. Sounds gross. I started watching about 15 minutes late. It won't start from the beginning. Exact same thing happened yesterday. It will go back, just not all the way. Anyone else? Only on RBP Strange. It's funny you mentioned that, because that did happen yesterday, because after the show, I always pull down the episode and clip the 3 minutes out at the beginning so that people that tune in later don't have to watch the countdown. And it wouldn't let me do it. It wouldn't let me do it. And it was starting like 2 minutes into the show. And then like 10 minutes later, all of a sudden it fixed itself and it started going back to the beginning of the show. I'm wondering if that's going to happen again today. I'll reach out to YouTube and see if there's something I'm doing wrong on my end. I don't think there is. I don't think they like your humble host, for being honest. Today's show probably didn't help that. 100 plausible explanations. Only one of them is Tyler doing the deed, then dropping the heirloom at a drop point. The other 99 necessitate a conspiracy. I got 99 explanations and TR ain't one. I got you, Guy Fo. Finally got my own login, so I don't have to make my husband, Thomas, sound girly anymore. It's clear they care more about pushing a narrative than truth. Love you. Well, none of that sounded girly. I love you and Thomas, too. Nothing at all girly about that. My B, the dishonesty of TPUSA, Smoke Boy, and all the Fed Slop influencers makes me sad. How some believe the Alpo is crazy. Praying for divine intervention. Love you, B, Daisy, and thank you for your great efforts. And Mrs. C, Christ is king indeed. Indeed. Thank you. Very kind of you. Did Frank ever go on stage with CK at a college? Frank Turdick? I don't know. I don't think so. I think he's made his whole living off the back of this death. Are you feeling better, B? Yeah. If I was a 65 yesterday, maybe I'm like a 77 today, maybe an 81. I'm in that range. Catholics are shining stars. So glad I met you in Candace. Fear not, eyes on the prize. Stay safe, brother. All glory to God. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Very kind of you. Doing our best out here. If the TPUSA 1-year event is still on at UVU, who's meeting me there in their decoy shirts? Ordered mine. Ooh, that'll be fun. Take pictures. Take pictures. I think it'd be funny if there were 100 of them. Just saying. Please share thoughts. John Cullen falls off map 1025, pops back up after 10 months, 826. Now tweeting every hour since about Hades and UAVs while claiming CO and our humble host refused to address the topic. Thanks. Well, I haven't seen him say I refuse to address it, but I actually commented on one of his posts. So I don't know how, and he responded. So I don't know how you can say I'm refusing to comment. Shira. Thank you, Shira. A-Bucks, huh? Very much love from Down Under. You mentioned a duty of candor and sua sponte a few shows ago, so I researched. Duty of candor, Utah Rule 3.3. Sua sponte, authorization in 4th District, Local Rule 16. Tagged you on X, if not to hand. I feel judge obligated to sanction in this case. Christ is king, indeed. Tagging me on X is a terrible way to get in touch with me. Not that you shouldn't do it. I'm not trying to discourage you, but I don't read my tags. Like I never go to my mentions. But between getting ready for the show, doing the show, scanning X, just seeing what people are talking about, research, family time, coaching baseball, trying to sleep, eat, work out. Like I don't have time to go through all my mentions. If you need anything, if you have something like that, email it, realbaronpodcast@gmail.com. We'll do our best to get to it. We don't even get to all those, frankly, but we try. But thank you. Very kind, very kind, very kind. Glad you listened to that tweet and started a podcast. #1 fan down the road in Shelbyville, Tennessee. Yeah, when we moved here, my wife said she was going over to Shelbyville for something. I was like, there's no Shelbyville. Shelbyville. I grew up here, lady. It's Shelbyville. Glad I listened to that tweet and started a podcast. Oh. Yeah, someone was smack talking me in the comments today on some tweet, and they said, "Oh yeah, you think you know everything? You should speak up, like do a podcast." And I was like, I'll look into it. I'll look into it. Listen, I've been in Shelbyville twice in the last 2 months. I didn't see you. I am only able to start at 18 minutes first time. Well, I will say this to everyone experiencing this. After the show uploads, you'll be able to go back. I have no idea why it's doing this. No idea whatsoever why it's doing this. My husband gets bored with all my podcasts sometimes. Watched the show without him yesterday. When he got home, he accused me of thinking he's low IQ for not wanting to watch it with him. Love from Alabama. Well, it doesn't sound like he's bored with this one. I wonder if defense can argue that the state's lack of disclosure before preliminary hearing is what led them to keep saying speculative. I doubt it. I'll be covering the KGRD in depth. Okay. Defense definitely made good argument. No inference upon inference. Great find on the case law. Very interested in how he will rule. Yeah, I'm interested. I don't know what you're talking about. What's KGRD? Say I don't know who you're talking about. Oh, you talking about the aggravating factor? Yeah, they kept referring to it as KG. Now that you mention it, they kept referring to it as KGRD. I don't know why they did that. It was confusing to me when I saw it in there the first time. Got to catch up the last 25 minutes. Roger that. Family in EMP defense. 2015 CIA linked doc, marries, then becomes TPUSA CEO. Classic long game asset. But you can't question the widow. Snake Eyes. You're unlocking a whole new level of wingman for the principal in the class. Thank you, my hour B. That's all. Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Perennial tactical? Perennial tactical? Is that what we're saying? Security. Streaming to Frank, Mikey, Erika, Shapiro. I don't know what that means. Oh, you're saying that's what? I don't know if they were doing that. Thank you for your insight. Thoughts on Andrea Burkhart's opinion based off the documents so far? I think she's pretty fair from a lawyer's perspective. Keep going, Max. Love from Nipa. I don't know where Nipa is, but it sounds beautiful this time of year. I haven't seen her opinion on this most recent filing. I have no idea what her thought was. I thought she's been fair. I mean, she's on the other side, and I'm okay with that. I don't mind someone coming to a different conclusion if they know what the hell they're talking about. If they read the documents and say, I don't know, Baron, I see this differently. Okie dokie. But if they're like, you're an idiot, I hate you, you're a con man, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Sounds like the prosecutors might be the more experienced lawyers. Even if people don't think they have a case, the defense needs to tighten up. Like Archie Bell and the Drells, tighten up. All the way from down in Houston, Texas. Hey, B, the bad faithers just seem desperate to grab hold of any perceived win after losing the debate. Their claims may not stick to casual observers. I agree with you. Now I'll say this. Casual observers are not on X. Like that's like the craziest of the crazy. Casual observers aren't probably watching Charlie Kirk oriented podcasts. Casual observers are picking up headlines that roll through Fox News crawlers. I don't know what they say. So, but I agree with you that after the Smoke Boy debacle, they're just looking for anything they can grab onto. Like they're in dire straits. They're circling the drain. Why is everything stacked against the defendant in the preliminary in favor of the state when the defendant is subsequently held in jail for months? How is this upholding his constitutional rights? It's a great question. The Supreme Court one day will have to figure this out because I don't think it's fair. Blake rode a short yellow school bus with helmet. Sneffy? Talking about Sneffy? I'm currently recovering from an emergency surgery on Sunday. Would greatly appreciate prayers for peace and a speedy recovery. Christ is king indeed. Nobody likes the words emergency surgery. No one likes the word surgery, but especially emergency surgery. So thoughts and prayers with you, good sir. Pete? Certainly will pray for you, Pete. My coworker offered to lend me a pellet gun to get rid of a groundhog. My immediate response, I don't want my DNA on your gun. He was so confused. Well, that's good advice. Good advice. Correcting Mr. Blanked Out Sneff's grammar is hilarious. Well, he needed it. He needed it. I wouldn't do it to a person who isn't portrayed as like this uber intellectual. But if you're going to be an uber intellectual, use commas properly. I mean, let's start with the basics. Subject verb agreement. I mean, you should know this by third grade. You should know this just walking around. How you feeling today, Bubba Baron? Hope you're feeling better than last night. Thank you for all you do. Sick and well. What's up with the spy plane? Anything new? No, just in and out of Nashville last night. Your Majesty, the principal read one of your grand jury commencements on Monday. I said, why did Joe Kent have to get the text if he was about the left? They need a crash course in logic. God bless. Oh, that was you, Anna. That was you. You made the principal show. You need to put in your bio, as seen on the Candace Owens podcast. Add it, and I take credit. Put it on your CV. Almost missed the matinee. Arrived 30 minutes late, so I will not comment until I catch up. Hope you're feeling better. Have you put the intro song yesterday today? Did I miss it? LCB. Yeah, this is the thing. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know why they cut the show yesterday today. I'm going to have to get to the bottom of this. We've changed nothing on our end. We fire up the show the exact same way. So I have no idea what they've done. I've never seen this happen to anyone else, so who knows? Just my thoughts. But could the pipe bomb backpack have been another backup plan? Maybe if it looked more like an explosion. Thanks for all the work you and Daisy put into this. appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know, honestly. I think it's weird we never heard about it. Of all the things we've heard about this case, no one mentioned there was the makings of an explosive device in the condo where the two shared a home. Is that because it was Lance's and we need him to be the good guy here? Is that why? Whoops, shooting blank. I don't need to hear about that. Let's try the super chat again. Can't help but go back to the trap door theory. Shot came from below him. It could explain the shirt movement up and possibly could have hit the mic and necklace. No, it couldn't have, because if it hit his shirt in a way to cause the shirt to go up, there would be a hole in it. We would see that hole. And it doesn't like deflect and go. No, there's no shot from the trap door. Not that I see. I'm open. I'm open to everything, but that would have to take a lot of convincing. Am I late or did Baron come on early? Must be good. I'm seated. You're late, and apparently you guys are all going to have to go back and watch the first however many minutes they cut off after it uploads. So maybe 10 minutes or so after the show ends, go back and catch the beginning. I don't know why they're doing that. What are the Fed sloppers and dishonest lying dirtbags going to do when the defense doesn't concede to all of this at trial? These tweets won't age well. I don't think they intend to make it trial. I don't think they intend for him to make it to trial. Rode mic could be on SD card. TF took. Out of the camera? You think the audio was feeding to the camera? I see what you're saying. I don't think so, because I think we saw where the Rode mic was anchored, and it was actually one of the cameras he didn't take the SD card from. But maybe. Husband keeps saying, who is Baron Coleman? There's no excuse for that question. Get your husband on board. He's my high IQ YouTube friend, honey. You should only see one charge a month. Oops. 2 this month. From the #1 Arkansas fan of the man from Tennessee. Stay safe. Jesus loves you. Thank you. Doing my best. You guys staying safe bothers me a little bit. Love learning from you. Totally worth watching you through the wee hours. Wish I studied law, but post working in global iBanking. Ian Carroll led me to you. Thanks for helping me retain cognitive function. Jesus loves you. Helen, thank you. Thank you. Is it the wee hours where you are? Shouldn't be. My B. My M. Not cooked, broiled, fried, sauteed, simmered, boiled, roasted, grilled, baked, poached, stir-fried, steamed, braised, stewed, or flambéed. Okay. Okay. Over 3,000 people have been exonerated in America for crimes they didn't commit because people wouldn't stop asking questions. Are those people evil? Well, it depends. Was there a widow involved? Because apparently you're not allowed to ask questions if there is. Come on, Baron, you're way too logical. It's a bad habit. Bad habit. Speaking of the death penalty, made me think of St. Maria Goretti. Incredible story. It's worth your time. Thanks for all you're doing. God bless, and remember, Jesus loves you. We have an icon of St. Maria Goretti hanging in our house. We're very familiar with the story. In fact, the very final words Mrs. Coleman and I say to each other before we go to bed is, St. Maria Goretti, pray for us. TPUSA to the world. These are not the droids you're looking for. New shirt. Fed fatigued. Not a bad idea. I know this question refers to the member show last week, but didn't God promise us he would never flood the earth again? I've been having dreams about a 2,000-foot wave. I'm not okay. Living in the Gulf Coast. Well, the good news is you won't have to worry very long. The bad news is, yes, God promised he would never flood the entire earth again. But there have been floods, and those floods have killed a lot of people. There was a tragic flood at a girls' camp in Texas a few years ago. I remember when I was a kid, around St. Louis, the Mississippi River flooded and killed a whole bunch of people. Floods happen. Widespread flooding happens. As long as there's a remnant, then God will have fulfilled his promise. Farnsworth resembles Alf. Terrible. Terrible. Baron rules. I got that because I used to watch Alf when I was a kid. And I noticed, is that a cat? No, that's a dog. I noticed you have a cat in your picture. Alf would have liked that. Alf would have liked that. Speculative. TR must have had 4 outfit changes. Baron, are you going to address what happened to you and Candace yesterday? Hades airplane? Scary doo-doo for sure. Christ is king indeed. I don't know there's nothing else to address. There was a plane in the air. It was landed when she was on the air. It took off when I was on the air. So it was low over Nashville both times. Flew within too close for comfort, frankly. But I mean, other than that, I don't know anything. I'm still here. What do you think of the speculation in the Lindsay Clancy trial that Patrick killed the kids? Thanks for all you do, Baron. I have no speculation. I haven't followed it closely enough. Served on 2 juries. Both times after looking at evidence, our decision boiled down to whom do we believe and what makes most sense. I hope TR testifies. What are the odds there's a plea agreement? I can't make odds. I don't know the facts. I don't know. Pray for me and my family, please. Today is day 1 of sobriety. Any advice you'd be willing to share as I start this journey? Yeah. You got to want it. You got to want it badly. And you're just going to have to fight it out. It's going to be a tough. I mean, look, I'm one of those that if you tell me it's going to be tough, that's better than telling me it's going to be easy and then it gets tough. And I'm like, oh, this is too tough. So I'd almost rather oversell the tough. It's going to be tough. But you got your whole life ahead of you. And we're talking tough for what? A week, 10 days, most? And the first few days aren't even that bad. So you're going to habitually want to drink for a few days. You're going to feel bad, probably, depending on how much you were drinking, for maybe days 3 through 7. You're not going to sleep very well, days maybe 5 through 10, and then you'll be pretty much back to normal. And a more normal than you've probably been in years. And you will be better for it, and your whole family will be better for it. And there's no reason not to. You know, if you could save your child's life by giving up alcohol, would you do it? Of course. If you could save your husband's life or your wife's life by giving up alcohol, would you do it? Sure. Why don't you make a decision that that's how badly you want it? Make a decision that's how badly you want it. Daisy recommended a book. I think it was like How to Stop Drinking Alcohol or something. There was some famous book. Apparently it's amazing, and a lot of people use it to have great success. So if you struggle on day 1, maybe jump on Amazon and order the book. I can't remember it. She mentioned it on a previous show, and she's not in the studio right now, so I can't ask her about it. But hang in there. Check back in tomorrow. Charlie Kirk medical exam said that his lungs and heart and brain were bleeding. 3 different AIs told me that a 223 would be most likely cause of this and puff of shirt. But did Bagley find on another roof? 223. Okay, so several things going on in this comment that I need to address. First, Bagley found nothing on another roof. It was a different officer. I wouldn't trust AI to tell you anything about wounds and what are possible causes. So that's out. The medical exam does say that there was damage to his brain, his lungs, and his heart. Also, the interstitial space in his chest and some other areas, and obviously his neck. But that I agree with. It doesn't sound to my research that I've been able to do that it's consistent with a 30-06 wound to the neck. But I think people overuse AI. Like, I don't think you can ask AI that question and get a right answer. Smoke Boy condemned TR to death only knowing one of the 7 charges against him. Insane. No. He didn't even know one. You got the fact wrong. He condemned him to death without even knowing one. And the one he thought he did would not have condemned him to death. It would have just been life in prison. It was a disaster. Mikey has the most to win and lose. Should he talk? His wife is due with first baby soon. Do you think his dad, Rob, has told him to shut up, keep his mouth closed? Your podcasts are top notch always. I mean, I could only speculate, but if assuming there was something that Mikey knows, I would think that he would know Rob's position. And I assume he's as terrified of Rob as we all are. The hassle in the Hamptons? Yeah, he was hassled in the Hamptons. Good call. What's your opinion on being able to gamble on trial at Poly Market? I worry there may be some whales who move the market and could possibly make it unfair. Thanks. I admire your integrity, brother. I don't think people should be gambling on anything. So certainly not when someone's life is in jeopardy, though. That's nonsense. I mean, too much incentive for malevolent behavior. How'd defense get that so wrong, though, Barron? Especially the first one. They didn't know there was precedent overruling the case law on which they relied. Almost sounds purposeful. No. Tell me it will be okay, please. I don't know. I don't know how they got it wrong. And maybe they disagree with that conclusion. Maybe they disagree with the conclusion that they got it wrong. But I know that that my very cursory, limited, non-Utah lawyer research confirmed that they might have. 5 years sober today for loving my husband of 31 years. Chuck, the man I married, is present every day now. God loves us all. I hope the person who was asking for advice earlier just read that, because that's what it's about. It's about the people around you. Yes, you're going to feel better. Yes, you're going to be healthier. Yes, you're going to be more clear-headed. Yes, you're going to sleep better. Yes, you're going to be more fruitful in your work and your private life. But it's the people around you. That's who benefits. That's who benefits. Thank you. Congratulations. B, have you seen the video circulating of LT being stopped by a reporter at UVU on 9/10, saying his name was Wesley? Is anyone addressing this? Please look into this. Guys, I'm going to say what I say every time. Unless you know something's a fact, don't state it as a fact. You don't know that that was Lance Twiggs, but you just said it was. You asked if I've seen the video of Lance Twiggs being stopped and saying his name was Wesley. It could just be that his name was Wesley, like it wasn't Lance Twiggs. I mean, maybe it was, but you can only speculate. And we don't like when they speculate that it's Tyler Robinson. We shouldn't speculate that that was Lance Twiggs. That's all. I'm not getting on to you, Jordan. Iron sharpens iron. I'm trying to get better here. That's a high IQ outfit. AB, love you and Trigger. Had a show with a lawyer on the other day, and she poked some very interesting holes in the Fed Slop doc. 2, did you get to see it? Go Max, Christ is King indeed. I did. I think her name was Octavia. She did a great job. Great job. My late dad had me convinced until the age of 12 that he knew a man in South Wales, UK, who had 2 wooden legs but still had his own feet. It took you to age 12 to figure that one out? I mean, hey, okay, got it. I mean, that's honestly, that's lovely. You had that much trust in your father. That's amazing. It's amazing. I wish my kids had that much trust in me. Do you think the one-armed man might still have his own hand? I'm still scarred at 63. I don't know what that last question's about, but I'm sorry to hear that. Questioning this case challenges the very reality they prematurely accepted. If it falls apart, so does their certainty. Their egos won't allow it. Christ is King indeed. Well, that's certainly a generous reading. Americans are being poisoned with bad food. A weak population doesn't rise up. The evil lives in the Hamptons. Some of it does, for sure. Charlie put Beebster on a performance improvement plan. He's on a PIP, guys. He's on a PIP. I think some people think evidence is a synonym for proof. There's a difference between them, isn't there? Of course there is. Of course there is. Eyewitness testimony is evidence that someone was at Penguin Steakhouse. It's not proof. It's evidence. Hey, Baron, do you have a video where the FPS is reduced enough to actually see the bullet traveling? I've not been able to find anything, nor do I think you will. I mean, just think of the physics of how fast a bullet's traveling. I just don't think it's possible. I mean, if so, it'd just be such a fortunate catch that. Yesterday, you said the spy plane landed in Killeen after flying over Candace's house. I have family that live in Killeen. Nothing in Killeen except largest active duty Army base. Yeah, it's a military craft. Makes sense. I think Beebe was scared of Charlie. Beebster knew Charlie could be president. And how could he have somebody be president? That doesn't support his country. I think he's scared of him for more than that. Wow, what insight on Charlie's letter to the Beebster. You make the pieces fit. Thank you for all you and Daisy do. We're just analyzing the news. From the footage of the closest people surrounding Charlie on that day, none of them looked physically upset in any way. Are they in on another secret? Oh, I don't know. I can't get in their heads. This reads less like a letter and more like Charlie conducting his own exit interview. Yeah, it didn't work out. You can check out anytime you like. You can never leave. Unfortunately, what happened to Charlie may be the very reason people cannot stop lying. It's literally to save their skins. That country is using the world's money to take the world over. Crazy times. Love ya. Love you too. I beat to me the lateral crawl rooftop vent looks rectangular in shape, especially the shadow. Satellite view clearly shows all rooftop vents on Losi Center around. Thoughts? I have none. I did not notice that. I'll have to go back and look. Beebster started going on podcasts right after May. First appearance was on the Nelk Boys. Duly noted. Hi, Baron, number 1 fan in Dubbo, New South Wales, Australia. Love the matinee as I can catch it live. Following since Google Trends. Happy to contribute for Super Chat. Blessed for all you do. Thank you, Becky Boo. That's my best Australian. I don't have anything better than that. This money did not come from Andrew Wilson, but that only means it doesn't smell like cigarettes and regret. Keep going, Max, for Charlie, everyone. That's Diligent Denizen. He's done some great on-the-ground reporting. If you don't follow him on X, you should. Same handle, Diligent Denizen. Excellent X follow. Has broken some major stories in this case. Thank you, Diligent. Could you explain presumption of innocence to your U.S. audience? In Germany, it binds the state in criminal proceedings, not private citizens. Is it the same in the United States? Well, of course it's the same. It does bind the state. But when you're calling for punishments, then it sort of crosses into this gray area. So, for example, if my next door neighbor is charged with crimes against children, probably not going to hire that person to babysit my children. I mean, I can use that as evidence. I can say, I know you used to babysit, but not anymore. Sorry. We'll wait and see how the jury works out in your favor, and I may still not afterwards. But if I'm calling for him to be like fried, that's a little unbecoming. I haven't seen the evidence. I have no idea if it's true. So that's Baron. Exactly why would the Beepster want to take him out? Ben Shapiro carries the water on his midget horse, along with Beepster's expanded list of Fed sloppers. Yeah, but there was no one that had the potential to do more harm than Charlie. Unfortunately for Charlie, he made some truthful points, like making Israelis fact-check the accusations, but they just can't because they're 100% in the wrong, so they took Charlie out. In my opinion, Christ is king indeed. It's a tough read. I find it funny. Beepster, after Charlie's death, started doing all that social media run, taking everything Charlie said, media websites, etc., and doing it. Yeah, but he was doing it through other people. I think his point was, this is what we're hiring you to do. You think it needs to be done? Do it, big boy. Put on a tinfoil hat. Both strong students. Twiggs attended early college magnet at Dixie Tech, now Utah Tech Success at Utah Tech. Gifted recruiting. Tyler dumped scholarship and enrolled at Dixie Tech. If Tyler was your good kid and Dr. Jekyll, would you hire a pro to see if there's any mind control? Well, I don't even know how you do that. We get it already. You can explain it to them, but you can't understand it for them. Yeah. B, you could have made 3 episodes from the info you covered today. I hope Fed sloppers and pickle puffers take note. You think the TR case will ever make it to appeals? I fear he won't. Stay safe, B. Well, I mean, that presumes a conviction, so we'll see. Sir Baron, suppose TY admitted guilt to his lawyers to protect LT from XYZ charges. Can they still argue he's innocent? Keep fighting the good fight. If he admits guilt to his lawyers, can they still argue he's innocent? They can still raise defenses in his favor, if that's what you're asking. Yes. Blake's new book, Sniffer. They can't elicit false testimony, but they can raise defenses in his favor. Blake's new book, Sniffer Style Guide, how to punctuative and spelling, coming soon to a bookstore near you. I wouldn't read it. Great show, Baron. Have you checked on the planes that flew over Canister Place? 2:30 p.m. God's time. It was a great show start. Cristo es Rey. Christ is king, indeed. I've only the updates I've given so far. I mean, nothing more. Baron, thank you for these breakdowns. Question: even if the text Andrew Wilson read about Charlie being in fear for his life from the left, doesn't that make it more of a reason to have an ambulance on site? Oh, makes it more of a reason to take extra precautions for sure. Hey, Baron, I watch every one of your videos. I am a boomer, a late boomer, nonetheless. 1960. 20 years your senior. When you say was, it tugs at my geriatric heartstrings. Christ is king indeed. Well, happy boomerdom. Happy 1 month of having me as a member. How can we pray for you? Just pray for my children. I mean, that's your legacy, right? Pray for my children. Pray that they're faithful and happy and well-formed. Thank you. I appreciate that. Charlie Kirk played a very high-stakes game with the real players with the real power. He FAFO'd himself when he flexed his perceived muscle. Great show today. Yeah, I think naivete may have been his undoing, if we're being honest. This letter needs to be broken up and summarized for the masses to digest in shorter clips. Very informative. Duly noted. I'll let the clips guy know. Additional context. 8/13/25. Harrison Smith, Sweet Charlie's Afraid Philly. I already gave that context. LMAO, I'm dying at the roof analogy. Well, it's a good one. It's the best I could think of on the fly. Greetings, Baron, from where you were not hanging out last night in Texas? No, I haven't been there in years, except to catch a plane. Why do the grammar corrections bring me so much joy? Because Blake Sneff is a turd. That's why. He's a turd know-it-all, and it's great to correct a turd know-it-all. Believe me, they do. Sometimes it's the little things. So much joy. Christ is king indeed. That was supposed to say 20 years your senior. Yeah, I said it had a decimal, but I got it. Mr. Barron, maybe a picture of Charlie. Thank you for entertaining us with truth. God bless you all. Thank you. Puts the I'm thinking of inviting Candace text into perspective. Big time. Thanks, my B. Love you. Jesus loves you too. Jesus loves you too. It does put it in perspective, doesn't it? I didn't even put that in there. Yeah. Why do you think Twigs got immunity after the pipe find? I don't know. Thank you, sir. That's the best analysis, the cause. Well, thank you. Your hypothetical roofer is trying to put a roof on a home while the frame and foundation are crumbling beneath. The house should just be condemned. I mean, I'm not fighting you on that. Hear me out. Macron's took Charlie out to get Candace off their scent. Has she pulled much at this thread? Do you know? I don't know. Well, ask her. I just sent my super about Harrison before you mentioned it. High IQ, confirmed, and humble. Logic course paying off. Thank you, that guy, Oliver. You have good instincts. Bubba Barron's so worried for TR still breathing by trial. Heard on Stu's show, caller said one of the bailiffs in the court is Tyler's relative, Matthew Farnsworth. So worry about Hades overhead too? Yes, ma'am.
So sorry to interrupt. The principal will be live in 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Just want to let you know.
Ish. Yeah, we should be close. We should be close by then. Thank you.
Mhm.
Israel seems less guilty because they showed they didn't need CK. But see, TPUSA and the neocons couldn't afford to keep CK. They benefited most from his demise. Oh, you just tried to draw a distinction between two groups with which there is no distinction. You put TPUSA and neocons on the other side of Israel. There's a difference without a distinction. Would there be any situation where the defense would submit evidence in a prelim to prevent going to trial? Tyler will be locked up for years waiting. I mean, if there was only one piece of evidence and his testimony would undermine the evidence, maybe, if you knew he was guilty of nothing, I could see someone doing that. I've heard of it. I've never done it, but I've heard of people asking to testify in front of a grand jury or a preliminary trial. But it's not often. First super chat ever. Baron, so upset about the Hades spy plane flying over Candace's home. I think they're playing serious games with her and you. Only worried about Candace, I see. That's okay. I'll allow it. Hi, B. Following you from UCK. I feel more evidence that throws doubt on prosecution case. More probable TR unalived by end of this trial. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. My B. Babester is a genocidal psychopath and will get away with taking out CK. I fear that if he doesn't get his way, this war, he will turn on us now that we can't defend ourselves without any weapons now. Love you, B. I don't know. I understand your opinion, but I don't know. I'm behind regarding death penalty. Book recommendations, Secrets of the Killing State by Corinna Barrett Lane. You a Richmond law professor. Thank you for all you do to share knowledge with us. Thank you. Baron Zola Jacques. Fantastic. I don't know what that means. I might not even pronounced it right. I really, really want those search warrant affidavits you presented yesterday. You seem to be the only source. Can I have them? I don't know if you have a reason for keeping non-public. But please, if you can, we'll put them on X. I mean, I'll throw them up there. Or Daisy, if you're listening, you can put them on your X and we can retweet it and get it out. I don't have any problem with them being public. I'm not trying to gatekeep them. I don't have anywhere I post documents. That's why. We love you, B. Thanks for using your voice for us. Please stay safe. I haven't felt like saying this before. Truth wins. You guys are scaring me with the stay safe business. The episode stands out with amazing quality. Well, thank you. Thank you. What does the term the left mean? Does it mean that CK was worried about an individual with left-sided ideology? Or are they saying that Charlie Kirk knew of a conspiracy consisting of left-leaning politicians and organizations that were after him? Anyone know? We don't know. And it's that ambiguity that makes it so I don't think that the text has much meaning at all. I would love to buy a purple Nurse Casey's friend hoodie. We could absolutely put that together, but we'd have to spell her name correctly. It has a K at the beginning, not a C. But I'm not going to hold it against you. I'm not going to hold it against you. Have you listened to Ian Carroll riff when he did the debate video and explained beautifully how they got control of CK.org and how it points to them? I have. He did a great job with that. Watch that whole show. He did the whole show's worth watching. It's like 4 hours, but it's great. Sorry if you've covered this, but did you see the documents where TPUSA said no to EMS for UVU event? Their request for 3 parking spots as close as possible to UVU courtyard and how specific they were with the setup. Even provided a diagram. I haven't seen that. If you send that to my email, I'll look at it. realbaronpodcast@gmail.com. Reasonable people make reasonable inferences, reach reasonable conclusions. Genius presentation, Sir Baron. You're playing a huge role in bringing the truth. Pray for your protection. Christ is king and Jesus loves you. Thank you. I'm late. This is your number 1 fan from Eastbourne, Uck. Hope you feel better soon, although the matinee means I can super chat. Look after yourself. Thank you. I'm going to move quickly because we got just 10 minutes or so left. Missed 30 minutes. Sorry if I covered. I always felt the DJT statement about CK Bang felt oddly worded. He said he is a great guy from top to bottom. Coincidence that CK told Beefster to revamp his PR operation from top to bottom. Very well could be a coincidence. May not be. I don't know. Never considered it. Buried in silence, wrapped in lies. The truth waits patiently. It doesn't yell. It outlasts every shadow cast against it. And when it rises, it heals what deception broke. Truth always finds its way home. That's beautiful. Hello, Baron. Get well soon. Number 1 fan from Indy. Thank you for everything you do. Keep up the good work. Christ is king, indeed, indeed. I've been to Indy a great number of times. Sir Baron, great show. County Durham. Uck. Christ is king, indeed. Thank you. If Charlie Kirk was able to leave TPUSA, who would replace him? Erika. Obviously. There's no question. Everyone knew it. I mean, there's just no question. I've listened to Time at least 5 times and shared it with so many of my friends and family. Your best opening, in my opinion. Christ is king, indeed. God bless all our children. Thank you. Thank you for your insight, Baron. Thank you for your comment, Ricky. Today's episode and your conclusion about Charlie Kirk's divorce from the Zionists is worthy of a honor of the century, my B. God bless you, Baron. Thank you. Appreciate that. This analysis and analogy are very insightful. Wow, so telling. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, they've been lying to us about this whole thing. Axel 21 on the move now. I saw that. Just crazy. Just now. Crazy Rabbi Shmuley on Israel TV 7. Jewish people must be feared. That wasn't just now. That was earlier. I saw that early this morning or yesterday. But yeah, thank you. Paying my favorite podcasters today. Thank you, Baron, for everything. We have such a beautiful community. Praying for the Colemans always. Take care. Christ is king indeed. Jesus loves you. Yeah, I heard a friend of mine said, if you don't support the podcasters you like, you're going to be stuck with the podcasters you don't. I thought, yeah, that's true. I upped my monthly budget. I don't want to be stuck with the ones I don't. You said the Axel flew to Killeen. That's Fort Hood. Duly noted. Duly noted. Hey, but Baron, was it Andrew Wilson? You talking about Smoke Boy? That set how much time they debate for? When I heard it was 3.5 hours, my tinfoil hat mind said, so it's 3 hours, 30 minutes. Are they inserting their 33 into CK's case again? Christ is king again? Oh, indeed, always? Yeah, probably. I didn't even think about that. Good catch. Harpole told Sean Ryan Charlie got a pre-event point of view photo of his seat showing the shooter spot. Did Terrell get it too? It matches the camera behind Charlie's view. Could that explain Terrell taking the SD card? I don't know. Why not talk with competent lawyer like Andrea Burkhart or a drunk one like Rakita? Your bull doo-doo wouldn't fly with them, huh? Set it up. Nonsense. And keep it clean. I don't mind you disagreeing, but keep it clean. I don't do interviews. I mean, that's the point. I don't do interviews. They can do their show. I can do my show. People can tune into whoever they want to watch. When you said give people space to research, it reminded me of my 3-year-old who's always says, give me space, but will refuse to give space. And what did it say? But will refuse to give you space when asked, especially in the bathroom. Christ is king indeed. You know, I've never had that problem. I don't have 3-year-olds coming to my bathroom, but maybe my wife does. I haven't asked her. They want to be in the boomers' wills, in my opinion. Oh, that's why they're going after the older set, the more experienced humans. 3 years ago, I took my oldest to UCF. I was so heartbroken. A week later, my son ended his life. Nicholas was 17. Very hard season. You and Candace have helped get me out of my catatonic state. Thank you. Wow. I'm so sorry to hear that. I cannot imagine that devastation. I'm so sorry to hear that. So sorry. Thank you for your kind words about the program helping you. But man, I'm sorry. Genuinely. Affidavit required follow-up. I've been pestering about those affidavits since last night, and I have to apologize. Andrea Burkhardt has had them, and I no see. What affidavits are we talking about? Talking about the search warrants? I didn't see him on her site, but maybe she does. Thank you for opening up this topic, Tornado Alley. Oh, you're Tornado Alley. You're welcome. Thank you. I'm tuning in, so I'm not sure if you covered this. Regarding Raspberry Pi cell collected from TR per warrant, Google how large they are and reference back to pic a fake cell that fell from Zen's pocket. I know what you're saying. Thank you. I think Charlie was okay being a roofer, but Israel was destroying the roof every time he put a new shingle down. Not a bad fit to the analogy. 1 of 1. Christ is king. A. Why all fake Christians hate immigrants? I don't think they do. Criminal defense lawyer, you can't BS. Who are you? Okay. I don't do guests. I have very few guests, and the ones I do are typically friends or people I want to get to know better. I don't care what other people say. This whole like, you're not a man if you don't fight somebody. Shut up. Are we missing it? Could Charlie have been hired to do an evaluation? Beebster knew how smart he was, and he was on the youth front line. Letter reads oddly. Yeah. Charlie told BB to get some podcasts and then denied BB a spot on his podcast. I didn't think about that. That had an insult to injury. Christ is king indeed. Number 1 from South Bend, Indiana. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Andrea posted this evidence is clearly overwhelming. Good for her. I don't hate her. I can't help that. I'm allowed to disagree with people. I've never found her to be an obnoxious, horrible person like most of the other Fed sloppers. So, I don't hate her. I'm not going to hate her unless she turns obnoxious and horrible. In which case, Andrea, you'll be on my doo-doo list. I don't know why whatever that is full of whatever that is. Erika hates college-age supporters because they remind her of how old she really is. Love you, my B. Woo, that one hit hard. Loving learning legal lessons the easier way. Well, that's cheaper when it's not you. Charlie Kirk's letter needs to be framed. I think he had hope he could help and believed and loved them. He then realized how much darker it was after he sent the letter, knowing they're going to end his life. Yeah, I wonder how many people were like, that was a bad idea. You are not on his good list. Watched last night's show, was confused with all the typos in the official documents. It was during the cell tower request. Your thoughts? Yeah, they typed them in a hurry. But yeah, I had to delete and reinstall the YouTube app. There was a notification that it crashed. Working fine now. Praying Christ keeps you safe. It sounds like YouTube's playing all kinds of crazy games today. Hey, brother, from a cradle Catholic. How long have you been a Catholic? Love your show. Keep kicking butt. 19 years? 18 years? Something like that. Old enough to vote. My Catholicism can cast a ballot. Loved Alf and Garfield. Had to chime in. Duly noted. Christ is king indeed. But Baron, doesn't your argument assume the state-appointed defense is actually working in the best interest of TR? Some good faith skepticism of the defense approach is warranted? If I see evidence they're working against him, I'll call it out, but I don't see it yet. Netanyahu came to the U.S. in July of 25. Charlie didn't want him on his podcast, but he did do the Nelk Boys show. Correct. That's the rumor. I think, while it's still legal to do so, that you nailed the who and why. Your interpretation on that letter was spot on, and your commentary and role play was brilliant. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. You can comment anytime you like. I want to know what Barron thinks about Lindsay Clancy's husband. I have no thoughts. No thoughts. Thank you for all you do, Barron. Christ is king indeed. You guys think I have time to sit around and watch 8 hours of trials a day and put a show together and do a show? I can't keep up. Did you see Diligent Denizen? Made a post about having met with a family member of TR. Barron, please don't bully me if this has been said already. It has not been said. I did see that post. Been praying for you and fam with College Move. How you holding up? I'm all right. He's a good kid. I think he'll be fine. It was sad. It's still sad. Still miss him, but we're making it. The super chat is for you to buy and open a jar of pickles to show Smoke Boy how it's done. Much love and thank you for this high IQ outfit. Go back and watch my debate review show. Like 2 or 3 shows ago. I opened by opening a jar of pickles. Accused Queen of getting messages in on device following the opening of his electronic device. Wonder if others were going to help until he bombed. Couldn't defense put a paragraph to challenge the state's claims, not for the judge, but for X, as the state does? Well, they could have. They should have, in my opinion. Interesting that Charlie expressed his concern about the left trying to kill him the day before his security team let him go to Salt Lake City without them. We need to get you and Robert Barnes. Stop suggesting I sit down with people. I don't care what other people say, okay? Barnes has a show. If Barnes wants to sit down, he can call and invite me. I may or may not go, but my God, people, stop. Stop. I will decide who I sit down with. I will decide who the guests are. Thank you. I appreciate your advice. Not only was BB in power on October 7th, it was he who ordered for the Hannibal directive to be implemented. Devil. I don't do interviews. How can we? Oh, my God. All right. Guys, if these people were so brilliant, why does no one watch them? That's the only thing I got to say. If they're killing it with their legal analysis, why is no one watching them? Why has Paramount's videos gone from like 800,000 views to like 4,000 views? Okay. It's not a marketplace of ideas if you get to say, like, one rowdy audience member says, you have to sit down with this person. You have to. Hey, that's what they tried with Andrew Wilson. And Candace beat him down like a broken smoke boy. She made him look like an idiot. So be careful what you guys wish for. Be careful what you guys wish for. I hate that that's the one I ended on. But that's the last one we're going to do because there are no more. Guys, thank you. I thought today was a good show. I have no idea why it cut the beginning off. When it uploads, hopefully it will add the rest of it back in like it did yesterday. Pulled the same thing yesterday and I have no idea why. But we'll get it fixed. I will decide who to sit down and talk to in the future. I actually was talking to a lawyer on the other side here recently. I may sit down and talk to him, but it's not because somebody's going to bully me in the comments. It's not because there's some like challenge out there. You're not a man if you don't sit down with him. Shut up. I'm not in 5th grade. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. But I think the guy's interesting. I think he's an interesting guy. He comes vehemently on the other side, but he's not ugly about it. And I don't mind sitting down talking to not ugly people. And so I haven't decided whether to do his show or not. I've talked to him. I might. We'll figure that out. But as far as having guests on our show, I don't do guests. Like I had Dre on the show once. I had Allie Top Files once. That was like in October, November. I mean, I've had like 2 guests, maybe 3, in 163 episodes. So this is not the format. It's not the format. But I do appreciate you guys joining. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. I'm going to jump over and watch The Principal now. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm not sure what time, but be back tomorrow. We'll do a member show Friday. Maybe we'll have a guest. We'll have an interview. I'll be interviewing somebody. No, I have no idea if we're going to have a guest or not, but we could. I've got one lined up that has agreed to do it. So we may end up with a guest Friday for the member show. If you're not a member, feel free to check that out. If you like, subscribe, click notifications, join the program if you want to support us on a monthly basis as a member. And I will be back tomorrow. Don't forget, in the meantime, Jesus loves you. Jesus loves you. Nothing you can do about it. And I'm glad I say it at the end so YouTube doesn't cut it off like they cut off the beginning. We'll get that fixed. Hopefully, we'll get it fixed. You're right. Jesus loves you too, Shaytown. Have a good night, everybody. We'll talk to you mañana.